Yeah, good. All right. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to begin our city council meeting today, September 12th at 7:06. Please, let's call the roll call. Madam Clerk. Mr. Calvo,
Present.
Ms. Casa Munoz,
Present.
Ms. Garcia Robles, Ms. Perez, present, Mr. Rodriguez,
Present.
Mr. Luminor, Mr. Zogby. Madam President, you have a full council. Thank you. If we could please stand for the invocation led by our city clerk, Marbelis Pacho. Dear Lord, we pray for wisdom and integrity. May this meeting be blessed with your grace and guidance. Amen. Amen. Can we please turn to the flag? And our pledge of allegiance will be led by Councilmember Calvo.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow, comments already.
Okay. Let's have our meeting guidelines read, please, by Madam Clerk. The following guidelines have been established by the city council. All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard. Thank you so much. So we have some presentations tonight by the Andrea Belize Foundation, which is a trash pickup project. Do we have somebody here that's in representation? Says, hi, good evening. Could you please come up to the podium?
Good evening,
Good
City
evening.
Council, City Mayor, and everyone.
Thank you.
My
If
name is
you
Andrea
could
Viejo.
please give your name and address
Oh,
for the
I'm so
record.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
My name is Andrea Viejo. I live on 10841 Northwest 7th Street, apartment number 12, Miami, Florida, 33172.
Okay,
Good
thank you.
evening,
evening.
City Council, City Mayor. My name is Andrea Viejo. I am the founder of Andrea Belize Foundation. What we do is that we focus on making a positive impact in the community by giving with different projects that we get the community involved, not only the community, but especially the youth. So I'm here to propose a World Cleanup Day, which is September 16th, which is this Saturday. And we would like to propose this cleanup between Flanagan's and Palm Lakes Elementary and partner up with our beautification advisory board for the city of Hialeah. So next, so as I said, our mission is to provide a positive impact in the community by different projects. So we focus on mental health. We have city cleanups. We do a lot of collection drives, not only locally, but international projects as well. And we just assist the community as much as we can. My passion as a little girl has always been to help the community. And I organized my nonprofit organization a year ago, and it became a 501c3. So it has made me very accomplished in that aspect, because helping the community is my passion. And I just want to spread it out to the whole world and the community especially, and the youth. So the main purpose of this cleanup will be to create an event that will bring the community together first. So bringing the city of Hialeah community together, not only our community, but our city council and our city mayor to be participating in this event. Creating a clean environment for our city of Hialeah as well, and also engaging our community and our elected officials to be part of this event. Not only our elected officials here in the city of Hialeah, but also in District 12. Our Commissioner J.C. Bermudez is also a huge supporter of our events. And we've done this project in the city of Sweetwater many times, and it's been very successful, where we engage and bring together almost 100 volunteers to clean the whole city. So what is needed to have a very successful project? We need pick-uppers, garbage bags, safety vests, cooler with ice, water bottles, and city patrol, just to keep our students safe in an area. All these are basically already covered by the foundation. We also give community service hours for any student who gets involved. So for this project, I'm proposing 7 community service hours for the student to participate in the activity and bring 1 item of these that you see in the list. Next, you just see a couple of pictures of previous events that we've done with the city of Sweetwater. As you can see, our commissioners have been very involved with these projects, and that's my goal here in the city of Hialeah as well. I would love for you all to be involved and, just bring the community together, as I said before. And thank you so much. That was my presentation. Any questions?
Well, thank you for being here today, Andrea. I think that we underestimate the amount of garbage and little things that could be found in our neighborhoods. Once we take the time to actually walk around, and I know that a lot of elected officials can attest to this because we have to walk our neighborhoods, right? And meet our residents. And I think once you go out there and you start actually walking and looking down, you find little straws, you find maybe leftover like mail, that someone left on your door. So it's important to have these efforts, and it's nice that you bring this awareness to kids and that you get back, and we appreciate you taking the time. So I know that you said you're meeting September 16th, which is Saturday, but at what time are you meeting and exactly where? Because you said between Flanagan's and the elementary.
So our proposed time will be, Javier from the Beautification Advisory Board is here.
Also, he brought you on board. Wonderful. Good initiative, Javier.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, commissioners, the council members.
Just for the record, Javier, can you give your address?
Javier Morejon, 1456 West 39th Place, Hialeah, Florida. What we're proposing is going to be on West 16th Street between Palm Lakes Elementary and the Flanagans. So we're thinking of having the Palm Lakes school parking lot as a staging ground for everyone to park there.
Okay.
And we can start branching out from there.
So the supplies that are needed are pickup sticks, garbage bags, gloves, water bottles, a cooler, a safety vest, and you're aiming for between 50 to 100 volunteers is what our goal is.
Correct. And I have everything already, so don't worry.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm prepared.
Got it.
And then the time will be from, I believe, 9 a.m. And it'll probably go on until 12:30,
Okay.
more or less.
Got it. All right. That's great. Well, thank you, Javier, for thinking about bringing this foundation together to work with our city. I'm excited, and I'll make every effort to be there with you guys this Saturday. Okay. Any other? Yes, ma'am. You're recognized.
Thank you. You said you have all the equipment that was listed. Do you have the volunteers?
As of right now, I asked the mayor's office for permission to start recruiting just because of the time frame. Because today's the 12th, so it's the event. So as of right now, I have over 40 volunteers registered.
So congratulations, because you came at a perfect time, because right behind you, Okay, there is a school principal that has to give community hours to his students. So what a great opportunity to get the school involved with the community, with the elected officials and with your organization.
So you're
So
not
I'm
40
really
more.
sorry I'm putting you on the spot, my love. If you could get up and introduce yourself to her. Thank you.
You guys could exchange phone numbers outside and he'll
There
get
you
you a
go.
sign up list. All right, good idea, Councilwoman. That was good.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Andrea and Javi, thank you for putting this together. Appreciate all that you do. And Andrea, I know you've been very involved and I've seen you a lot on social media with Sweetwater. Hopefully we'll see you a lot more here. But I won't be here this weekend. I'm going to be out of town, but I'd like to contribute and help you out anyway. So before you leave, I'd like to talk to you for a second. Okay,
Perfect.
thank you.
All right, anybody else? Thank you so much.
Thank
No,
you.
thank you guys
See you
for having me
Saturday.
here.
Catherine, get her. Okay, thank you. All right, so any comments and questions or now in the portion of this meeting, do we have anybody here in council chambers that would like to speak on behalf of any issues? Good evening, sir.
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue, Hialeah, Florida. The event, thank you, Mayor, Councilman, Hialeah PD actually came by and we assisted with passing out over 300 book bags. It got a little crazy on Sunday because chef came out and cooked for also the neighborhood. And there was like over 500 meals given out on Sunday also. So
Awesome.
positive hits came out and White Boy did his thing and we did good. You know, we represented Hialeah to the fullest, like always. On the note of the nonprofit side of things. Now regarding stuff that's happening in my neighborhood, I'm getting a bunch of phone calls. I left you a message to your office, Mayor. I know people are busy, you get me? Basically, my only main concern is I have a question for you. It's just a general question. You can answer it if you can, you can. Are we ever gonna have a code department, like a director of code here in the city of Hialeah? We already have inspectors, but we don't have a director for code compliance. And every other municipality that I work with here in Miami-Dade County has code directors. Now you have, what I've found out was building department and code mixed together as one director. And, you know, that's kind of like a lot, you know, and I've been discussing with several councilmen regarding the issues with the trailers. And I know it's not about that one. I will be registering as a lobbyist that day because one of the residents did hire me to speak about that. But, you know, I'm getting a lot of phone calls about this stuff. I don't really agree with a lot of the stuff that's happening. You know, like we discussed, we met each other in the elevator the other day, you know, people are renting them on Airbnb, you know. I don't really think that's good. It's public safety for the officers. You know, you have weird people walking around your neighborhood that you don't know, you know, and that's not a good thing. You know, we have to protect our neighborhoods. That's my main concern, at least in my neighborhood, you know. But at the same time, you know, I don't really like that. You know, you see, I've been renting since I was 13 years old. You get me? This is nothing new. I've been renting since I was a kid. But, you know, one thing is renting your trailer for $750. And now people are getting really stupid and greedy at renting them at $1,500. But we have bigger issues, believe it or not. There's people building IUDs, or I forgot the proper pronunciation for it, but like efficies that they make out of aluminum and stuff like that. They've been popping up everywhere, you know. Is it called IUDs, right? ADUs, I'm sorry, ADUs, that's what they're called. They've been popping up everywhere. That's another safety, really, that I think we need to spearhead instead of dealing with the trailers and the boats. And to my understanding, what the state statute says, that you can't have them more than 30 feet. And a lot of people have been having them more, you know what I mean? I've seen 40 feet, I've seen, you know, it's gotten out of hand, but it's kind of like what I told someone in your office today. I said, before we throw the stone, let's take care of our house. You get me? And we need
Mr.
our
Santana,
code compliant
wrap it up
director.
a little bit.
I'm wrapping it up,
Yeah, thank you.
right? We need a code compliance director. We don't need one director handling two departments. You
Okay,
get me? We have the budget for that.
thank you,
You
sir.
get me? And at the end of the day, I'm not here to argue with you, but that's the question I had for you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. Do we have anybody else in council chambers that would like to speak?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Jose Alvi, 788 Southeast Park Drive. I would like to start the meeting by honoring our new city attorney, Rafael Suarez Bribios. I was here, I heard your credentials. I'm really grateful that you picked Hialeah. It's an honor. I came here for 2 points. The first point is the pickleball issue. We're gonna adjust to that. It's gonna be easy, but we have the advantage that we don't have to make the same mistakes that other cities made. Like Miami Springs signed the contract, and now the residents are trying to get out of it because a private person is managing it and they can't get out. So I'm gonna leave their change petition, which they're in trouble. And we've always adjusted to new changes. I mean, for example, when the Florida Panthers in 1996, they went to the Stanley Cup, the Panthers invested like $2 million in street hockey. Street hockey was a craze for 3 years. We adapted the track on Gillette Park and we made street hockey courts. And then 2005, when soccer went from 11-on-11 on 100 yards, soccer now 5-on-5 on 40 yards. The fields that were hockey courts were converted to soccer. So the adjustment, we're used to that. It's not a big thing. We're gonna handle that good. And luckily, we didn't make the mistakes that other cities made, and we can learn from them. My second point, CVS Navarro, they're gonna build on Laguna Okeechobee, a beautiful project. I'm not against the project. I'm for it. It's beautiful, right? But we are giving up parts of Three Friends Park. I live like 2 blocks from that's the only passive park in the area. And then in today's administrative item A and PZ9, so we're gonna eliminate the park, give it to them. And not that they don't, it's a good deal. But I'm just hoping, because CBS had spent $600 million they pledged in the next 5 years for minority communities. My question to the city council and the mayor is, like, can you propose to CVS that maybe like a 5-year plan for Southeast Park, or like refurbish for the South Courts for pickleball, and have them come invest in our community?
Mind, Ms. Garza, repeat that again?
Sure. My question is, can you approach CVS, right? They're investing $600 million in the next 5 years for minority communities. They invested in a Hispanic like activity center in Baltimore, and Baltimore is only 10% Hispanic. So, you know, they might be looking for what Hispanic community can we reach? My question is, can you reach out to them, propose like a 5-year program in Southeast Park, a health exercise program, or now like pickleball's been able, one of the few things that could get people off their smartphones, kids off the screen. You know, that's like a big health component to that too. So propose one of those 2 items. That's my question.
So the answer is yes, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll reach out to them. Thank you for all those points, and thank you for your passion with parks. Good evening.
Good evening. How you all doing?
Good, thank you.
Through the mayor, city council, city administration, and the community of Seminola. My name is Nikhil. I reside at 2212 West 4th Court, and I'm here on behalf of the community along with Mr. Ike here to discuss. I know you guys having a budget hearing tomorrow. We want to bring to you and see if we could come in some type of agreement to have a celebration for Seminola. It's the 100-year celebration next year in 2024. So we would like the city to come in a partnership with the community to help out, to do some type of celebration. We have all type of ideas that we just trying to see, should we go get a committee, or how can we put this in a budget for next year for the city to cooperate with this event if it's possible. So I will come up if you have further information, details. And this is my second time coming before you. I appreciate all of, especially Councilman Jesus, of helping me out with the 2 year that we did the Black History event that you guys approved the permit and everything. Once again, I'm very thankful. We're grateful. But right now we're here to see what we can do about the 100-year celebration in 2024.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Ike.
sir.
Isaiah Williams, 17513 Self-End Drive, Orlando, Florida.
Welcome to
30-year
Hialeah.
30-year employee of Hialeah.
Nice.
Oh,
Is it possible I can give out this to the council or no?
Yes, she'll help you.
Calm down, calm down.
She'll help
You
you.
don't have to rush.
Like Nikki was saying, it's a volunteer committee that we put together, and it's 100-year, and we're very passionate about it. Of course, I did try to make an appointment with Mayor Bovo. I know he's a busy man, and I was able to speak with Councilman Munoz to try to give an idea of what's going on, because she's associated with the racetrack, which they built the area, which was
Right.
the for the slaves to build Hialeah Racetrack. Far as we know, and everybody know, we are the first neighborhood of Hialeah. Not Deer Park. I challenge them because Deer Park go way east, but we are the first neighborhood, and we are very passionate. We got a lot of people here, older, younger, family, friends that we just want to try to make this the biggest celebration that we can put on, and we need all the resources and help that the city can offer, and that's what we're requesting.
Okay,
So the city is getting ready to celebrate its 100th year anniversary in 2025, but what I would ask you, how long are you gonna be in town?
I'm still working, chief.
He comes all the time.
Oh, okay.
I'm a fireman.
Oh.
I
Oh,
work-
you just do the trek.
I
Okay,
just do
got
the
it, got
drive.
it.
Yes, sir.
All right, so go see Mark, Mark wave there for a second. Mark?
Okay, can I have the other committee members come with me as well? It's
Yeah,
still-
of course.
Okay.
No, that's not a problem. Bring as many as you want. Go meet with Mark and get on my schedule either tomorrow or day after. I don't know what it looks like the rest of this week, but we'll do it this week, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you,
Through
Council.
the
Thank you.
chair,
yes, ma'am, you're recognized.
Ike, before you leave, and we had this conversation the other day, I showed you that Seminola was the first community in Hialeah, before Hialeah Incorporated, before Deer Park, because you did come down and you were the ones that, everybody from Seminola was the one that built Hialeah Park, built Deer Park, and that's why, and part of Miami Springs. So you were definitely the number one, and we found that in the history.
Yeah, I would like to add, if I don't mind, it's really big because it's not only, we only don't have to take care of the residents currently living in Seminola. Don't matter the race, Hispanic, Black, but we have people from Kentucky. That was the horse trainers, Mississippi, Georgia. We have a lot of people asking and they want to come back, and it's a huge event.
No, that's great. And we have a historic board here too that could help with putting together some ideas. We have different sponsorships that we could get and help you out and make it a real big celebration. All right.
Thanks
Do you
again.
have a month that you have in
It's
mind?
it's on the papers I gave out. We're looking sometime next year in June.
June 2024.
June, one of the Saturdays in June, depending on the city's schedule,
Okay.
what they have, and it's more or less everything in a bundle of what we've done Cotson Day before.
Mhm.
We Seminola, the park is named Cotson Park now, but it used to be called Seminola Park.
Okay.
One of our died and they named the park after him. So we usually do it a Cotson Day every summer, but instead we just thought it was best we do Seminola Day in honor of Seminola Day, and then we'll move forward on the next year's coming out. But this is the 100 year, and
No, that good. All right. Thank you.
Through the
Thank you.
chair.
Yes, sir.
The chair, yeah, and again, I want to thank Nakia. Nakia came to see me last week, and like I mentioned before, Nakia, the mayor and everyone wants to help out, and that you could always count on me as well. So Mayor, I'd like to be involved in
Sure.
whatever planning happens, and I'm looking forward to it.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
Ike, who was the first African-American police officer in Hialeah, and he came from Seminola. Family still lives there. What is it? Wasn't it Oliver
Freddie Bear?
Harris? Oliver Harris.
Marshall was second. Marshall was second.
Okay, make sure you get who's left of the Harris family to come to the
Oh,
event.
yeah. Thank you.
Nice of you to get them fighting out there to see which one was first.
It's like a little trivia. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm excited to see what we could put together. Anybody else for comments and questions this evening? Yes, welcome. Yes, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Hi, good evening. My name is Claudia. I'm a parent. I'm here. My name is Claudia Soriano. I live in 508 West First Avenue. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm small.
No, don't worry. It's okay.
Um,
Just wait for maybe to shuffle out and then we could hear you. Sorry. It's
sorry,
not you.
I'm kind of nervous too.
Oh, relax.
I'm speaking on behalf of the accident that happened with Hialeah High. There's a couple of parents that were kind of like really, well, there's a couple of them that didn't show up because they weren't able to, but I'm speaking on behalf, and I'm speaking on behalf of my child that goes there. About the shootings and the the pranks and the situation that we want to see if we can have more security guards for the school, younger security guards for the schools, because some of the security guards are not eligible or have the capacity of being security guards because they're a bit older, they're over their 50s. And when something really goes down and with an emergency, I don't think that they will be able to do something for the children. Some of the children are scared. I'm scared for myself. I also have with the police officers, they didn't know how to handle the situation. There was a mother that had a son that's autistic. I have a son that's autistic too. And the officer grabbed the mother by the throat. There's videos of it going through YouTube. And there's a video, one of the police officers from Hialeah, and that's not a lie, that it's going everywhere. There's a lot of things going viral that, I know you guys are extremely busy and that you guys have a lot of things going on, but we need to make our I was born here. I went to the baddest schools. I went to Northwestern, Edison. Those are real bad schools. And I took in the liberty of bringing my children to Hialeah because every other place is either drugs, is either some situation. And I love Hialeah. I've been here for like 3-4 years, moved, and I loved everything how everything is handled, the school situation. But on Hialeah High, it's getting out of control. I don't know what's going on. I don't think the principal has the capacity to neither. You had 45 kids running across the street from 103rd running across. I had parents stopping the whole traffic because the police officer wouldn't even, I know that they have their business, but there's kids. Those are kids' lives. Those are our lives. If it was your children or your child or your grandchild, you wouldn't feel like you wouldn't feel safe taking your child to that matter. It's kind of hard to sit here and let the elementary kids, they already gotten shot. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's hard. Now you got high school kids, bombing. This is not a joke. We have to take this serious. Like I tell people, it's illegal to tell somebody, oh, look, he has a gun or he has something, then they can you can search the kid. But why can't we put something, I don't know, detectors, check their book bags, do something, because some of these kids are out of control. You can't blame their parents because kids choose from right or wrong. When you're 15, they choose from right or wrong. You have kids that are going, it's getting out of hand when it comes to the children, and we need to help our future. Those are our future. Those are our kids. These parents don't, I don't know. We're trying to just get help to see what you guys can do, put more officers, because the school is really huge.
Okay.
More.
If I can, you had a lot of levels of concern and they're all valid reasons. And I think as a parent myself, any parent could relate to your anxiety, to your stress, to your, it's very relatable, and it's across schools in America, right? But you said a lot of different examples, and I don't really know those scenarios if they apply to our schools, and to what's happening in our city per se. You said that there's a lot of parents here, and I think your main concern is the function and the safety of what's happening during daytime hours at Hialeah High, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, not just
Okay.
that, but we just received a call earlier that there was an accident, that the school, one of the rooms were getting on fire.
okay.
There's a lot of situation going on.
So as far as funding, when it comes to cops, that's something that the school board funds to have those resource officers present at the school. That's part of their budget, the annual budget that they allocate to different schools. And they put certain officers that are trained and ready for school, different scenarios, according to the amount of students that are enrolled at that school. So I don't have that number. I don't know how to answer you, since that really doesn't have to do with our funding. And as far as you're saying that they're crossing the streets.
Yeah, the day
And there's like an issue.
the day that was on Friday. It was a Friday that happened. There was a prank call. But there was kids, there's videos that they
Like
said
during
they
school
were, yeah,
hours?
during the school hour.
Okay.
There was a shootout supposedly. There was kids
no.
recording. They said it was a prank, but you
Yeah.
had kids crossing across the street and there
Okay.
were police officers there that you know, you got, if you see kids, you have to stop the traffic. That's why you're a police officer. You're here to
But
help
those are
us.
the public school.
Yeah, it was
officers.
the public
So
school.
public school officers, I don't think, and I may be misspeaking, but I don't believe that they handle the traffic patterns within the city. I think they're supposed to be free to handle situations that are happening at the school in case of an emergency. They can't be standing, guiding traffic, and then they get a call and they're gonna have to run inside to handle that. So I don't think that's part of their job description. However, that's something we have a very good relationship with different school board members, and the one that's assigned to that school, we have a very good relationship with them. And that's something that the mayor always has open conversations today. As a matter of fact, he had a meeting with our school board member. I was with our school board member. So this is something that we could definitely communicate with him, your concerns. And I'm sure, you know, maybe we could put you in contact with his office and you could speak to his chief of staff. And that's something that maybe you could have a direct line to have better answers, that they're
We
the
would
ones
really
that could
appreciate
solve
that.
that. Okay. Mayor, I don't know if you want to elaborate.
Well, yeah, a couple of things to unpack, but the one thing I'm very, very concerned with is that you made a statement about a video that has gone viral.
Yes,
Do you have
it's
a
been
copy of
viral.
that video?
I don't have it with me, but my child does. When they, I could bring it to you next time and show it to you. And I mean, we made a WhatsApp and there's videos that are, you know, that we have that have been thrown and you hear them and you show the police officers there, but somebody's, you know, I'll, if we have. a
Okay,
next time, could
I
bring it to
definitely
you.
want to see the video, and if you could make it available to one of my guys so that the
Okay.
police department could see it. Because it's a serious allegation, and I want to make sure that if it was a Hialeah police officer, then it's
It
addressed.
was supposedly they have the Hialeah department and then the guys that are dressed in black. I wasn't there, but you know, that's what I'm waiting for. I was waiting for the mother. There was a specific mother that was there and that recorded it. And she told, because we had a meeting with the school, with the principal, and the principal wouldn't even speak. Everybody was telling her, showing her the video. There's a bunch of videos, we have them. There's a bunch of videos going in TikTok, like a bunch that you'll go crazy. And you'll, as a parent, you'll be like, what's going on? Like, you really are like, you really have to check it out. And I'll find it and I'll.
All
get
right,
in
so I
touch.
think that's of critical importance to us.
Yes.
So if it exists, we want to see it and we want to be able to address it. It's important to understand the relationship that we have with the school system. The school system has its own resource officers, its own police department. Very difficult to control prank calls.
Of
And
course.
and it's something that my understanding is that the first week of school, the system was getting hit all over the place, not just here in the Northwest End or Hialeah, but it was getting hit all over the place. And the school system was reacting continuously. You know, one of the deficiencies in the school system having a police department is that the folks that are responding is the Hialeah Police Department, if it's in the city of Hialeah. The folks that are responding someplace in unincorporated Dade is the Miami-Dade Police Department. The school system doesn't have the ability to do it. Imagine if they pull every police officer out of every school to address in one school, you've now left all the other schools vulnerable. So we could help facilitate a conversation with the school board member for our area, not just our area, also with the school board member that represents the south end of the city, so that you could share concerns with them. My understanding is that the day after or 2 days after, maybe I think that might have been on a Friday, so maybe it was the following week, there was a meeting at Hialeah High with the school board member.
Yeah, that was us, but the thing
Okay,
is that
good.
they didn't, it's like not like you guys are serious, you know, they were smirking, they were like, you know, they think it was like, you know, I know that parents, everybody gets wild and everybody speaks their own way and they get nervous. And then when they get nervous, they get, you know, excuse the word, but they get ratchet and they get off, you know, they get off the case and then, you know, it goes beyond. So we wouldn't get nowhere. They wouldn't get nowhere. We wouldn't get nowhere. I left the meeting because like I said, I'd rather come here and speak to you guys to see if you guys are able to help us contact and figure out what we can do for their kids' safety. Because it's not right that their kids are in school and they're thinking, man, is somebody gonna come shoot us? So they're not concentrating in school. What they're concentrating is if there's somebody crazy or a friend or something might happen or something might go wrong. So they're not actually thinking about, graduating. They're thinking about, oh my God, are we gonna get killed? Or, oh my God, are we safe in school? I don't want to go to school. I want to learn at home. So that's why most of the kids are going, that's their trauma that's going on with them now. And I don't think it's right, I don't think it's
Well,
right.
we could definitely facilitate meetings with the school and we could do it here if we need to, so that you could have an audience with the school board member. There are some things that are beyond our reach. The residents of Hialeah a couple of years ago rejected a budget allocation through a voter referendum to tax themselves to put more police officers at the school, considering that the school system we already pay for those police officers through our taxes on the school system. Hialeah Police Department responded very quickly. And obviously they have protocols about setting perimeters. And obviously their main concern at that point is twofold. One is to, if heaven forbid, there's something going on in the schools, to stop it from continuing. That's number one. And at the same time, create a perimeter. That way nobody's escaping. But I don't want to play police officer. But if the video would be very important to us,
Okay.
because I think we need to see it.
So I just,
So one of these two gentlemen here that go unshaven,
okay.
one of those two guys, if you could just give them your contact information, and then we'll make sure that we not only look at the video, but we also set you up with, whoever we need to from our end, okay?
Thank you so much.
No,
Thank you for
thank
your
you.
time, guys.
Of
Appreciate it.
course. Have a good evening.
Of course.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come up for comments and questions this evening? If I may, I think we should piggyback on this moment, with the chief. Chief Guerra, if you could please come up. I think that, just to continue with the concerns in the community with what happened at Mylander Park on Friday, at the football game, if you could just give us some clarity on those events and what transpired and how we're following up.
On the football game?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, so there was a call for a cheerleader that I guess the pyramid fell, had a broken lip. So that was the initial call for
I'm sorry, name and address for the record.
Chief William Scara, 83 East Fifth Street.
Thank you.
The initial call came in as a cheerleader that fell from a pyramid. I think she had minor injuries. She, in the report, that's what it said.
Mhm.
About 8 to 9 minutes later is when the second call came in for a football player being down. Once that came in, my unit responded and was on scene within 5 minutes. And we already had a unit responding because of the engine coming in. There were certain issues coming in also because it's a football game, so it's closed in certain areas for the engine.
Oh,
And once we arrived, my guys worked on the individual. They stabilized them. They put them in air rescue and transported.
okay. And just for clarity, at the football game, is there a medic? Is there a doctor from what you know?
The school board has a doctor at every stadium event.
Okay,
There's probably 2 trainers, one on each side, but at least 1 trainer with certain first aid equipment. I believe they have AEDs as well to treat cardiac issues.
yes, I checked with our Parks Department and our Director of Parks also confirmed that our AED machines are working. They're in the lockers. And I believe the doctor that's there is from Baptist. So he's a practicing that Friday night, for example, a practicing doctor from Baptist. Okay. And there's been discussions on how maybe moving forward, how maybe we would be able to request or allocate some funds to have rescue there. Is that some conversation?
Yes, to have a unit there on an off-duty basis, but they're there the whole game from
Okay.
pregame to the last person leaving the stadium.
So the area of concern is that we have our rescue truck, and if it's at the game and we receive a 911 call, crisis within the neighborhood, they would have to leave and they wouldn't be at the game.
Correct.
So we wouldn't be, we have to have additional funds funded to us by the school board to be able to have a second team that's designated just for those 4 hours or whatever.
Just
at the
like we
game,
would
correct?
have any other event, a festival or soccer game, it would be
Okay.
an off-duty unit that would be besides our regular response zones, no?
Okay.
That stadium sits between two stations, exactly 8 blocks away.
Mhm.
Although close, like I said, their zone isn't very small, it's a moderate zone. So it might be responding from another area that might have been at the hospital. So you want a dedicated unit there. So if
Right.
there's an issue, it can be treated right away. Person can be stabilized. If it's a cardiac issue, you can start giving medications, Epiatro
Perfect.
and so on.
Okay, well, I thank you for that. And just to follow up, the individual that had that emergency that day is doing well, is stable, is at home. So I'm happy to hear that. And thank you for the update. We appreciate it. Anybody else would like to
Thank
speak?
you, ma'am.
And thank you, Mayor, for following up and being proactive about this and having a meeting after. I appreciate really making this a priority. Thank you. Okay. Moving on. So is there any announcements or amendments and corrections to the agenda? The proposed ordinance for administrative item 11A has been amended. Administrative item 11C is postponed until September 26, 2023. And administrative items 11D and 11E have been amended to reflect that they are items for discussion. Okay, wonderful. We're gonna move on now to board appointments. And if we can read 9A into the record, please. Proposed resolution appointing Colonel William G. Perez to the Veterans Affairs Committee of the City of Hialeah for a 2-year term ending on September 11th, 2025. Thank you, and good evening, Colonel. It's such a pleasure to have you here tonight with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. I've gotten to meet Colonel Perez, and I'm so proud that our Vice President chose such a wonderful person to sit on our board. So I think you did a phenomenal job. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's a role model. He is someone that continues doing service in this community. If you don't mind me speaking quickly on his behalf. He continues doing service. He has a program, Mayor, that you would love. He has Reading with a Veteran at schools. So he goes out and he's written this program with people that are part of education. And it's a 7-day curriculum or a 7 visit,
blocks.
right? Curriculum. And he teaches different aspects of being a patriot in America and Psalms, and teaching them about the different, values that we don't discuss anymore in schools. So he gives back, and I'm so happy to be able to have him part of the Hialeah board. Vice President, if you would like to speak, any words?
Well, thank you for agreeing.
Sorry.
No, she spoke very good. Well, I had asked him if he wanted to say a few words because he has a very good resume, and it's so many things that are on there that, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, he's
I guess I have
definitely,
to start with the record, 7167 Ballantrae Court, William Perez, Miami Lakes, Florida. The first thing I want to talk about is my family's connection to Hialeah. My parents had a medical practice in Hialeah for over 50 years, practiced in Hialeah Hospital. My father was Dr. Perez. Some of you may know him. Some of you may not know him, but I think he probably, gave
he delivered,
delivered,
yeah,
right?
a few.
Half of Hialeah.
That's right.
We came from Cuba. I was born in Cuba. I know I'm the most gringo Cuban you ever met, but I am Cuban. And one of the things when I joined the Marines, my father asked me, you're a son of a doctor. Why are you joining the Marines for?
Mhm.
And I go, well, Father, because somebody has to pay back the freedom that we got from this country. And so I did 32 years of active duty, 2 combat tours in Iraq, over 16 deployments,
Wow.
1 combat tour in Afghanistan. And that was just a small down payment for the freedoms and the opportunities this country gave my family, like it gave all our families. But, when folks says, what's my connection to Hialeah? It's pretty deep. It's pretty long. Anyway, but I am thankful for being appointed on this board. I hope to do good things. I hope to continue to serve, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. Thank you very much.
Thank
No,
you.
and thank you for your
so much.
service.
Yes,
For everything
absolutely.
you've done. Oh, motion.
Second.
That's okay.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zagri,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casa Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, moving on. Oh, okay, okay. All right. If I may, we're gonna move up some administrative items. There's someone that's here that's gonna be speaking on behalf of the items that has a small child that's here today, and we want them to get home because they have school tomorrow. So I want to be able to move that up on their behalf. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
That doesn't get you out of this meeting. He's not here. Okay. I don't know who's here for item 11G. Item 11G. She stepped out. Are they with you? 11I. Okay, okay, so you went to the restroom with the child. Okay, so can we, let's first read 11I into the record if we may, and then you're up. Presentation by a representative of the City of Hialeah Educational Academy regarding new buildings to be built at Slade Park for the school. Okay, thank you. Sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam President, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Rolando Llanes. I'm the principal of Civic Architecture with offices at 8323 Northwest 12th Street. And would you like to take Ms. Papa's item now? Because
We
she's
just
back.
read yours into the record, so we'll do yours first and then we'll do hers.
Okay, well, I'll be
Yes.
as quick as I can. The presentation that I'm here to give is on behalf of the City of Hialeah Educational Academy. We have been fortunate to be the architect of record since the inception of the campus. And what I'm here today to, back in, I believe it was about 15 years ago or so. And what I'm here today to show you is the phase 4 and culmination of the completion of the campus, which again started back in about 15 or so years ago. I don't know who's managing that, but if you can go to the next. So everyone's familiar here, obviously, with the current campus. Next slide. So here's an aerial view of the current layout of the campus. And as you know, on the northwest corner is the original building, phase 2, and then phase 3, which were built over time. I'll get into those in a second. And again, today what I wanted to show you is the vision that Principal Alvarez has had, along with city and even the state legislature, which has funded much of this, if not all of the projects to this point, for the growth of the campus. Next slide. The project that's before you, or that will come before you at some point, that we're developing is essentially in 3 parts. You see that on the upper side, we have the completion of the campus to the east side of the existing buildings. There is the renovation and enhancement of the existing recreational fields. And then finally, to the very south, an expansion of parking. It was really an extension of the existing parking lot on the south side, which then will connect the western half of the parking to the west and create not only additional parking for the campus, but also more on-site capacity for vehicles to move around. Next slide. So here is the slide that shows you the history of the campus in 2008, phase 1, 2015, phase 2, and in 2018, phase 3. But one of the things that happened over time as the campus grew and the school grew in popularity, as was evident by the presentation earlier by Principal Alvarez, is that many aspects of the program of the school are occurring now in additional or existing buildings in Slade Park. So what the vision for this project is to consolidate into a cohesive, safe, internalized campus on the northwest corner, all of those programs. So expand the educational options, expand the wellness and aesthetic options that I'll get to in a second, but also doing that, enhancing some of the existing recreational offerings of Slade Park that are not just for school use, but in fact, broader use for the general public. So the next slide shows you, the next slide Yeah, there you go. So there you see the wellness center that I'll get into in a second, the CTE hall, which is a classroom building, the long building that you see there, and then the rec areas, which will include a sort of small soccer pitch where you can play flag football or soccer, a running track, and 3 pickleball courts on the south side of that. Next image is just a detail of the campus. Now what we're doing is, you see on the top left is the existing buildings, but we're now completing the circle and bringing in the campus into one cohesive arrangement of buildings where they're all interconnected by outdoor covered loggias so that students can get around the campus internally, not have to walk through the park at all. Everything is going to be internalized by a series of loggias that are interconnecting all the programs on the campus. So creating a very safe environment, single point of entry once arrival and dismissal is over and before dismissal starts, so that no student and no faculty member has to venture outside of the courtyard of this campus. Next slide gives you a little bit more detail onto the ground level of the project. And given the next slide is a little bit more closer up detail. There you see the parking lot to the south, the extended parking lot, additional parking, the renovated fields, the 3 pickleball courts, football, soccer, etc., the running track, and then the yellow piece that you see there is the classroom building. The blue piece is the wellness center, which has an indoor, fully regulation-sized gymnasium, locker rooms. It also contains classroom space and a 200+ seat lecture hall on the 3rd level that can be used. Much of this facility, if not all of it, as has been the case to this point, has been something that the school and the city share resources. So that lecture hall, the gymnasium, the locker rooms, and all of that, when non-school hours or weekends or holidays and summers and winter breaks, can be used by the city at large. So here's next slide is again greater detail of the plans. I won't sort of belabor that. The next 2 slides show you the 2nd floor plan of these buildings as they come together, creating that sort of cohesive campus. And then on the 3rd level, the top right corner, you see the 200-seat lecture hall that we're proposing on the 3rd level. We're also expanding the lunch capacity, the lunchroom capacity of the campus, because as it grows, the existing cafeteria and spill out area are not enough. So we're enhancing that as well. In addition to that, the courtyard is not just kind of a rudimentary courtyard. There's a basketball court, there's active and passive play areas, and there is an extension of the current spill out area, which has I don't know if you've been there, but you saw the sort of canvas sails that we're extending that all the way from north to south. So it's a very interactive space that you see. Here's an aerial view from different points of view around the campus, showing the full build out. The next slide shows you a view from the wellness center over the basketball court with the new classroom building to the left, and then behind the trees, you see the canvas awning sails that are existing there and will be expanded. This image shows you the basketball court in the foreground and the new wellness center in the background. Next slide shows you the wellness center to the left, classroom building in the foreground. To the right, you see the expanded sails. This is a view of the gymnasium, which would have, again, regulation size basketball court. You could also play 4 half-court games during regular school days. It has bleachers, locker rooms, etc. That building also has a TV production studio, so we'll be able to broadcast games there during events, but also it actually obviously acts as one of the academic threads that the school has, which is broadcasting and production and so on. More views of the gymnasium. And then I think the final slide, if you click on that, will show you and should launch. Click one more time. There you go. So here you see in the foreground, the existing campus, the original building, phase 2, phase 3, and now the long linear building and the piece that turns the corner are the new proposed buildings that will create this very sort of hermetically sealed internal environment. So students are now within this very interactive courtyard, connected by a series of covered loggias from building to building. So they're fully protected from the elements. Here you're going to sort of fly through now the expanded lunch terrace. And then there you see the passive or active field. The passive field is to the right, the basketball court in the background. And so we're at the schematic level of development of this project right now. We're going to be working with your staff and the planning and zoning staff to continue to develop it and to look at how ultimately the details of this project integrates itself into Slade Park. The whole of this campus from the very beginning was a very unique idea that Mr. Alvarez mentioned a little while ago, that it's now beginning to be expanded into other states and other places in Florida and beyond. Because the concept of what you created here, again, is like no other school. And so we're very proud to have been a part of this from the beginning, when the original building only had like about 300 or 200 kids to begin with. And then ultimately over time, it all grew organically. And I think now bringing this to fruition not only enhances the school proper, but also makes this park a unique park, because it's not just the school, it's not just the play fields, the courts and so on, but you have the library, you have the fire station, the community center and all of that. So when it's all said and done and the dust settles, I think this will be a project to be very proud of. So we wanted to bring this informational presentation to you so you can see what we've been working on with staff and with the school. And again, I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the project.
Here.
So, Madam President, if I could, first, it's still obviously a work in progress, but I do want to share some of the thought process and the conversations that we've had. We were very concerned with the amount of children that are going through the facility to get to our buildings. It's not here now, but across where the police substation is. Right now, the campus is really taking up the entire park during the day. There was also a commingling, so to speak, of seniors and students in the rec center there, in the rec building. So if any of you have been there, either touring the school or visiting the rec center, you'll see a kind of a commingling almost of, and it's not something that's set well with us, and it's something that we felt that we needed to try to address at some point. The school has received a lot of state funds that is already paying for an expansion of the school. And so the question was really is, how can we, a couple of things. One is my personal feeling. I think some of you have shared with me independently. We have a school system. Why are we in the business of education? We have a school system. And the genesis of the school was to help educate future firefighters, police officers. And I think the school is still fulfilling that mission without a doubt, at least from my vantage point. But the question was, how could we address or eliminate this cross-campus movement that does set up for safety issues? And thank God up to this point, we haven't had a problem, but it was still a concern, right? At the same time, some of you have shared concerns with losing park space. So when we started the conversation with them, we wanted to make sure that whatever was going to be done on the campus and the way it was going to be configured, we didn't lose park space. And I would make an argument that because of what's happened over the course of time with baseball and therefore not as much baseball as what we remembered, we wanted to make sure that any work on this school would, the two baseball diamonds that we lose, somehow or another, they're made up in a different way. So how they're made up? They're made up by a soccer pitch and the pickleball courts that would be added that our residents would have access to, and a basketball gym. The basketball gym that he just showed you would be something else that's added to our menu of amenities for our children to be able to use after a certain hour and when they're not using it, right? So if they've got a game going on, obviously you don't have use of the gym, but and this is all that could be worked out through an agreement. So we don't lose per se availability of park space. In reality, we're going to kind of reactivate areas that are not being used as much as that they were being used before. But perhaps overriding, like I said, is this containing the campus more so that we don't have children crossing through the park to get to what is right now our facility, where if you've seen it, they literally have to go out onto the street, and it is an entire operation to move the kids out there. So as many of you, like I've toured the school, I've seen the kind of setup. There's one thing that's undeniable. They're doing a hell of a job there at the school. You've seen by the reports that were shared with us earlier, and there's waiting lists to get in the school. So it is functioning, and I think it's meeting all the expectations. It has gone beyond just helping train police and fire. You heard earlier about 911 operators. There are students going in there for pre-law and other disciplines, media, what have you. Really exciting about what's going on there. But there was that concern, two concerns. One was going across campus and then not losing the amenities of park space. So the baseball fields get kind of like turned into something else, but our residents have access to it. As far as what we're going to, at least we're aiming to hammer out the deal. And the other thing is, at some point then get out of the school system. And when I say get out of operating a school, there will be things to be negotiated as far as whether it's lease payments and all that, because we still own the land, and there has to be some compensation as far as buildings and assets and what have you. But those are all things to be worked out. But I thought it was important to share with you where we're at as far as conversations, and then kind of moving forward, and obviously look forward to your input.
Do we have any council discussion on this item?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, two things. I think, point number one, maybe we can get that through our HR department, but I'd love to see, how many Cohia grads we have in police and fire, 911. I think that'd be interesting to follow that data. The second one, and by the way, beautiful project. It looks great. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but in 2020, the city commissioned an environmental analysis because right there at the northeast corner, you have the fire station, and that's where they do, we've all been there. They do the live burns and they spray the foam and all that. And they did an analysis of the PFAS chemical contained on site. And that report, which was commissioned by the city, showed that actually some of the higher levels of PFAS contamination didn't occur on the actual fire facility property, but it actually had through water runoffs and other environmental vehicles had migrated onto the fields themselves. And that's what the report showed. And so my concern is, if we're going to be doing these expansions, I think we're opening up the city up to a lot of liability because PFAS has been linked by the EPA, NIH, I mean, you name it. This is a cancer-causing chemical. And particularly among young people, it has the ability to cause pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, kidney cancer, I mean, a host of birth defects. It's serious stuff. So I think if we are going to do this, I think a much broader, environmental study needs to be done. And moreover, potentially some remediation efforts. I think what that study showed in 2020 is that in order to remediate those fields, you would likely have to dig potentially up to 6 feet to take out all that soil and put new soil, because you're talking about these forever chemicals. There's no way to actually take those out of the soil other than just removing the soil completely. So that's my concern with this. I mean, look, I want Cohia to grow. I think it's a great school. Clearly, the records show that. I just felt that, we need to keep in mind that study, it's a rather recent one. It was commissioned in 2020. I think the actual report came out in 2021.
Through the chair. Thank you. Mayor, I mean, you know my feelings on this and I would like to, again, maybe in a separate forum, or maybe have Mr. Alvarez give us a report. I really want to understand what's been the return, right? I mean, you know, I get how money works and I get how everything works and I understand that, and just my opinion, I understand that, you know, the stats are great, right? And they've been phenomenal, not just last year, but for many years. And it's easy to have a great school when the school gets to choose the best, right? I mean, that's just how that works. But I want to understand what's been the return on investment for the city of Hialeah, right? I want to understand. I mean, and that's a good point that Cabo brought up. I mean, how many of the students have come to the city of Hialeah? I know we've had a few cops and firemen as well, but I want to understand what's been. It has to be tangible, right? We need to be able to sell that to the residents to make sure that they understand they're getting something out of it. You know, when I see that presentation, that there's more infrastructure on our green space, it does concern me, right? At face value. There could be a lot of benefit, and I just haven't seen it. I'd like to see more of that moving forward. I have concerns, Mayor, because we've talked about getting out of the education business, and I don't know when that's going to happen, but I do know that this organization, you know, enjoys a lot of the benefits, right, of being a part of the city of Hialeah. Appropriations, right, and when they go get an appropriation, it's well, the city of Hialeah is getting that. Well, you know, it kind of is because it's in Hialeah, but it's a private organization, right? It's a charter school that's getting that. So my only concern is that we continue to see more development, right? We continue to see Cohia taking a lot of the benefit, and when it's time for us to finally break apart, it's going to be very difficult for us to, I don't know, do we charge market value? I mean, how do we get all that back? And so that's just my fear, that we continue to do all these things when maybe at the end we want to break apart. So just a few concerns there, Mayor, and I hope we can look at some data to, you know.
All valid. And I could tell you that as we've been going through conversations and our legal departments involved in these conversations, all these things are on the table because those are just consideration. As far as you know, I'd be interested to see, because it's not just kids that have graduated and then have joined the ranks of the city per se in police or fire or other capacities, right? There are some that have gone through Cohia and then have gone on to other departments also, right? I don't think there's an obligation to anybody that goes to the school that this is the department you have to go to. This is going back to some sort of vocational training, so to speak, right? But I think we could get those numbers and share with the council as far as, you know, graduation rate and where those kids end up being. You know, some, like I said, have gone through law school, and not necessarily that we've hired them, but they're being a lawyer someplace. So let's see if we could get some of those informations, address who has been hired by the city and who's been hired by other cities as a measure, right? A true measure of whether the school has been successful or not.
And one of the things, sorry, one last thing through the chair, and Mayor, when I asked Mr. Alvarez before he left, the breakdown on how many of those students in the school today live in Hialeah, right? And so
Okay, I have some questions as well and some concerns. I mean, the video in itself is beautiful. It seems like, you know, the time and effort that you've put into designing it, it seems wonderful. I love the outdoor seating spaces. It looks like it's very well thought out. However, when you compare what was there to what's going to come, as a resident of the city, it's hard to see that a space that belongs to the city, that's a park, that's going to be taken over by a building, right? So that doesn't sit very well with me. And I have to see what's being built, what the residents are actually going to be able to use. So that's a beautiful pickleball, that's a beautiful basketball court, that's a beautiful gymnasium. I would like to know the hours, the days, the times that it's going to be open for the residents to enjoy it, because it's part of the school, but then what is the agreement that we're going to have for residents to actually partake and enjoy that, and maybe have some programming with the TV production room? What's going to be allowed for use for us to actually partake in this partnership? And I'm also curious to see, is this like, if you build it, they will come kind of thing? Are we building this to bring in new students? Or is this gonna truly just be for the influx of students that are right now in our sister building that they're walking to, that's adjacent to the property? Or is this actually being built to just enroll another 150, 200 students to the campus? Because I'm curious to know, at what point are we going to cap enrollment? And it's a little bit scary, because they had this building and they kept on enrolling students, and they just, spilled off into the rest of the property, and there's still more property there. So is this going to continue happening? Are we going to put a limit to the enrollment that we have at this school? And is that something that we want to do prior to even, seeing this and accepting this proposal? I'm a little bit apprehensive with all those questions. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. What do my fellow colleagues feel? Yes, ma'am, you're recognized.
So the school started, and I was here when it started, and I know we laugh about how long I've been here and my 100 years. But when the school started, it was specifically because we had a lot of students that were dropping out of high school. And the idea came to do a charter school in the city of Hialeah, that we could bring those kids that dropped, that are at risk, that have dropped out of school, to give them a trade, just like what is it, Baker? What is it?
Ted Baker.
Is it Ted Baker?
Ted Baker.
What is it? George T. Baker. Thank you.
Booker.
Okay, no, George T. Leave the
George
Booker
T.
alone. George T. Baker.
And there's an aviation
That
one.
was the aviation. George T. Baker's the aviation.
Right.
At Hialeah High, when we were there was mechanics, there was aviation, there was different things, all that left the public schools. So I wanted this council to know why we started that school.
Which is, it's a good reason.
And it was, and we start with police and fire. And then we went to EMS, we started with EMS, we went police, we went fire, we went law, and we're going and going and going and going, and it keeps growing. And I'm thrilled. I'm so proud of Cohia, but I'm so concerned as well with the growth, because we're growing the school. Great. That means that it's going to be full. Fabulous. I know that if you build it, they will come. That's happened in Cohia consistently. Every time we go phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, they've been filled, the school fills. But to where do we stop with the growth in the area? Is this going to be the end of the school? You're not going to have any more. And by the way, Rolando, I love everything that you do and every project you work on. But that does concern me a little of what's going to happen to the park going forward. And I was not aware of the depth of the contamination in the fields. Have we done any studies? Are we going to do any studies? Is that well, that's part of when we do the building, that's you have
And
to
even
check.
prior to that, any site development would have to start with phase 1, phase 1 begets a phase 2, et cetera. And if there's this is in any project, and it's not uncommon that when you find that kind of level of contamination, there are mitigation efforts that you could do. The council member mentioned a couple, depending on what the issues are and how spread out it is. So yeah, that's definitely part of the strategy.
And also, if you don't mind, if you could go back to the slide, addressing the parking issue. I know that's been an issue at Slade Park, with the amount of parking, whether some is allotted for teachers, and then there's been a miscommunication on residents thinking they can't park there after hours. So that's another concern that I have, and I have voiced this concern. So I don't know how it's being designated, what it looks like. Can you show me that, if you don't mind?
Yeah, while we wait for that slide, Madam President, as the mayor said, it's a work in progress. So what we have done with this particular level of development of the project is try to expand consistent with the concept of that lower south side of parking that you see already there in front of the community center, in front of the courts, just extending that and to maximize the
Like an
amount.
L, right? Is that correct?
Exactly.
Around the
Essentially, it would
perimeter.
now become a continuous L,
Right.
very efficient way of parking from east to west.
But-
And
But I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is a high school, so the students drive. So I don't think that that's gonna mitigate this issue because with more buildings, there's more employees, there's more faculty, there's more staff. You have to hire more cafeteria workers, you have to hire more custodial. So, and all these people need to drive to get there and the students as well. So I don't know if this is, in actuality, if this is gonna solve the problem or are they gonna now start parking in our now facility that's up on the west side corner by West 24th Avenue. I don't know what's the expectation of,
I think the intent, as always with any campus like this, certainly that has a high school component, 11th and 12th graders particularly, is to have assigned spaces for staff, for visitors, and for student drivers. As a school of choice, usually what we find is that they can customize the amount of spaces that they can allot to students based on several factors. There's a minimum code requirement, which we must meet, but the school can manipulate that up or down depending on various factors. So the intent here is that when the dust settles and the amount of population hasn't been discussed or hasn't been settled on. So much of the conversations that you've been having about what is the cap and all of that, those are still, as the mayor said, works in progress. Really, what we wanted to do was sort of show how the park can develop, how the school can develop, and how you can get a return on investment on the two sort of fallow fields that you have now, which are really, softball fields, little league fields, or primarily softball fields that are getting not as much use as you might get when you make these improvements. So definitely the parking is an issue that we want to solve, commensurate and consistent with the growth of the school, how many students and staff might be added to the program.
okay? I know that you,
No, I'm just soaking it up. I'm sorry, through the chair. I'm very
if you could
comfortable.
turn on your mic, I'm sorry, Councilman.
My concern is that park has a lot of usage on all fields. So definitely, I'm all for going to school, but definitely is a concern as far as the park that you just said, what asset the public's gonna be able to use, because it does have a lot of movement, that park. The community, I'm there a lot, so you see a lot of movement. So definitely I do have some concerns about using the land, to be honest with you. Actually, I just want to validate what you're saying. Okay. Again, this is the beginning stage of it, but it definitely almost like you're using half of the park there. It
Yep.
is.
Do we have any other council discussion? Would we like to have a motion on this item?
Yeah, it's just
It's
a presentation, but
I apologize.
so obviously we've taken note of a lot of the comments and a lot of what you guys have all brought up. I want you to know is part of the ongoing conversation, okay? Because these are all the things that we need to from contaminants to parking to, again, the concern about the children crossing across the park during the day. All this has been taken into account as we continue this conversation. I was reminded about the PFAS is that, remember, this is something that if I'm not mistaken, the city had joined a lawsuit along with the county, along with other players on this forever chemical, right? That can't be remediated. We had conversations about whether when we are using the sprinklers in the park, right? What does that present? What kind of challenge does that present? I mean, these are all things that, we're trying to get our arms around and trying to understand as best as possible, right? And if I'm not mistaken, one of the comments made in the report was that whole area there, not to create an alarm, but that whole area in the groundwater, there was a contaminant of PFAS. But as I said earlier, it's something that can't be remediated. There's no way of cleaning it out of the groundwater, and we're all drinking it, right? So, but everything that you guys have mentioned is all part of a conversation. Obviously, we're not ready to bring anything to you, but we do feel it's very important to share with you the concerns of security with the campus. that keeps me up at night. Conversations that many of you shared, that you feel that we should not be in the education business, which I would concur. And then obviously making sure that we don't lose park space and park amenities or facilities for us. And I felt that by incorporating the gym into our programming and obviously adding the soccer field will probably activate it even more, and the pickleball for sure. But what we could end up doing there is just pickleball courts and not a soccer pitch based on the demand, right? So it's very fluid, but you know, your input's important in this so that when we come back to you, you have something that you've had a stake in, or at least you've given opinions on, right? But make no mistake about it. I think long-term, if we could project, you know, we won't be in the school business, and we're going to somehow or another create some sort of protection for those children that are on campus. And this commingling of seniors and kids may sound great in some sort of socialist experiment, but there could be a lot of dangers in that. And I don't think we want to set ourselves up for any kind of failure. So, you know, we'll take everything that has been said here and make sure that we address it. Any kind of reports that we need to generate as far as students, graduations, what they're doing today, if they're inside of our city working or not, we'll get you all that information so that when it comes time to make a decision, it's based on fact, and it's based on you know, data that all of you have requested.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, so moving on. Thank you, sir.
Thank
for your
you.
presentation
Right.
today. Moving on, like I said, I was gonna move up item 11G and 11H to get that little boy home. All right, so if you could please come on up. Proposed resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk as attesting witness on behalf of the city to enter into a lease agreement between the city of Hialeah as landlord and the City of Hialeah Education Academy Incorporated, a Florida not-for-profit corporation, as tenant for use of the school facility located at Slade Park, consisting of approximately 44,476 square feet, more or less, located at 2590 West 76th Street, Hialeah, Florida, for 1 year, beginning July 1st, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2024, for an annual base rent amount of $550 for each student enrolled, payable in equal monthly installments, and a usage fee of $202,605.31, including $75 for each student enrolled as a cost allocation for the Parks and Recreation and ECS Department for its administrative services and use of library and park facilities in substantial form as attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit 1, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date. Thank you. If I may, so are you going to do a presentation on this, or you're just here to answer questions? Okay. All right. So so it says that we get the base rent of $550 for each student that's enrolled, and then it says including $75 for each student that's allocated to the Parks, Recs, and our ECS program. So the $75 is deducted from the $550, or it's in addition to the $550?
I believe it's included in that 550.
It's included. Okay. And
I'm sorry, for the record, Colette Papa, 6340 Sunset Drive, Miami, Florida, 33143.
Thank you. Okay, so it's included. And is this something that we have locked in? Did we negotiate this amount? Is it something that when the school was established, or is this room for change?
Elsa Jaramillo Velez. This is the exact same agreement we did last year and in previous years. We figured because in January or February, we're going to come with a master agreement regarding the whole property. And we've done an appraisal, and we're waiting for that appraisal, that we would continue with the same exact amounts.
Okay, and has this been the amount since the campus opened?
No.
No.
A couple of years ago, I think it was a couple of years ago when we looked at the history.
Even just last year. So the campus has been open for 15 years. How many times has this value or increment that we've attached to students increased throughout the 15 years?
I have a binder with all the information, but it's something I can get to you later.
All right. Okay, and so there's someone online, I think Ms. Disick is online, that she has her hands up. She might have some answers
She has
to my questions. And then I had another question. Give me just 1 second. All right, I'll let her speak while. Ms. Disick, can you unmute her?
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Sharon Dizik, Education Division Director for the ECS Department. So the amount, I just wanted to correct it. So there is a lease in their budget. The lease is the $550 per student. And then in a second, in additional line items, there are the cost allocation, which is $75 per student, and the facility usage, which goes to parks and libraries. So that is a separate total. So there's the lease, which is $550 per student, and then there's the cost allocation and facility usage, which is a different amount within the
200.
budget.
Are you referring to the 202,000?
Yes.
The lease,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yes, that's a separate amount, and that facility usage fee has increased 3% every year. It has an increase of 3% every year.
Does the student allocation fee increase as well, or just?
No, it doesn't. The $75 stays the same, and the $550 has stayed the same. The only thing that increases is the facility usage, which is for parks and libraries, and that amount increases 3%, which the cost allocation is bundled into that total amount.
Okay, so for the 2023-2024 school year, what's the enrollment number at Cohia? Do we know that number?
We don't know it yet because we haven't billed them as of yet.
Actually, the last time when you, the oversight committee met, I believe it was 975, if I recall correctly. Actual number, last time you met on a month
Okay.
ago or 2 weeks ago, rather.
All right.
And they
Thank
do
you.
have a capacity by the school board of up to 1,000.
They're
Yeah.
capped at 1,000,
Yes.
so then they're only gonna get 25 more students,
Yeah.
even if they
Yeah.
build a building, or is it because of the current building, that's their capacity? And then if we expand,
They, they would be able to expand the student numbers if they had facility capacity to do so.
okay,
They would do that through an amendment to the charter contract.
got it, okay. Do we have any other council discussion? And the 202,000 that we have here, 605, this is divided then between ECS and libraries, right? Is that what Sharon said?
The cost allocation is for ECS, and then the difference, per quarter is to parks and libraries.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just making some notes. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Do we have any other council discussion on that?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little lost here. So this is the deal that the city's always gotten every year, for Cohia to utilize our space. Is this what that is also? Okay.
Well, this is the one for this year, yes,
But
but it-
every year, this is what we do, right?
Yes.
As part of the deal, okay.
yes.
So $550 times, we had 850 students or something like that?
975.
Is that?
975 is the number I recall from the last time.
Okay,
This came before council via the oversight committee.
okay, so that's about $500,000, right?
Right.
536, 250, and then you add on top of that the usage fee, which is 202, right?
Mhm, right. Correct.
So it's a total of 738,000. What, give or take, for this deal for Cohia to use our space. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good deal, right? I don't know what's, what we're getting in return. I mean, if this is something that's already been worked out, by,
So this one is for only a year. This one ends, this lease agreement ends on June 30th of 2024.
no, I got it. Yeah.
What I said previously is that sometime in January, February or March, we would come before you again regarding the entire appraisal that's been done on the property.
Yeah,
And
okay.
in other words, we would be renegotiating a master agreement to include everything we've discussed, all
Okay.
the
yeah.
amenities,
Yeah.
the square footage we're gonna charge and all that.
That and then plus the data that we just discussed now about
Yes.
collecting. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, yeah, just right now, if you were to ask me if this is a good deal for the city, I wouldn't know what to say, right?
Yeah,
So that's
right.
just kind of where I'm
Right.
at. But understanding that we have that coming up in January,
Right.
we'll have that data that we can analyze, and I think we'll make a better decision, but that's fine, okay.
Yeah, and it's actually, Councilman, it's actually less because if you say the 515 minus the 75 that's already gonna be going to libraries, then we're really talking about what, or 70 something? 463,000 is what we're getting at the end. Okay. Any other?
All right, so I think, look, at the end of the day, if we don't get this done now, I think it's gonna mess up operations or whatever the case is for the
Yeah.
school year, and so, but as long, also, we're gonna review this then in January, right? We'll be able to
Yes,
revisit this
yes.
with all the data and.
We're gonna have a
appraisal.
master agreement.
Okay.
Yes,
All right,
master
so,
lease
yeah.
agreement.
All right.
Yeah.
So I move.
I have a motion by Councilman Tundidor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Can we please call the roll? Mr. Calvo has stepped away. Ms. Casal Munoz also stepped away. Ms. Garcia Robis.
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Yes. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zagvi.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. All right, item 11H. Ma'am, if I can record Councilmember Calvo's vote on item 11G, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Proposed resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk as a testing witness to enter into the assignment and consent to assignment of charter school agreement attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit 1 in substantially the attached form, and to execute any other necessary documents in furtherance thereof, providing for an effective date. Thank you.
La Papa 6340 Sunset Drive, Miami, Florida 33143. I can answer any questions that you may have regarding the item.
Second the motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Tundidor and I have a second by Councilmember Zalpi. Can we call the roll, please? Ms. Casal Munoz, she's still away. Ms. Garcia Robis.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zagvi.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you very much.
All right, if we could please go back to our consent agenda. Do we have any council members that would like to pull an item this evening?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Tundidor and I have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Can we please call the roll? Ms. Garcia Robis.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zagvi.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz is away. Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed. Thank you. Moving on to administrative item 11A. Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance authorizing the exchange of city real property pursuant to section 1.04 subsection B1 of the city charter described as a portion of lots 6 and 8, block 3 of the 36th Street lawns according to plat book 24 at page 36 of the public records of Miami-Dade County, Florida, containing approximately 3,222 square feet in size, as more particularly described in Exhibit D of the land exchange agreement for real property to be acquired by Booz Development Group Incorporated, described as Lot 4 and the west 15 feet of Lot 3, Block 3, 36th Street lawns, according to plat book 24 at page 38 of the public records of Miami-Dade County, Florida, containing approximately 5,810 square feet in size, as more particularly described in Exhibit E of the land exchange agreement, and further authorizing the mayor and the city clerk as attesting witness on behalf of the city of Hialeah to execute a land exchange agreement in substantial conformity with the agreement attached hereto and made a part hereof as attachment 1, and to execute all other necessary documents for the exchange of the property, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or anyone online that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Felix Lasarte with offices at 3250 Northeast First Avenue. I have an exhibit package where we made some minor changes to the exhibits. It was Exhibit D, which was what the Hialeah property, what the city was actually exchanging. I'm gonna hand this for the record. I have 10 copies of this, so you could have it. And that's really the only change. It's just really to clarify the property that we were exchanging with the city. And I believe that the clerk read into the record some of the changes that we had made referencing these very same exhibits that we're handing forward to you. Later on in the evening, there's going to be a zoning item and a land use item, which, I'll go into a full presentation as to what we're hopefully going to do there down the road, if it's approved, obviously.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's his high quality paper.
Yeah, it's Kinko's paper.
Glossy.
FedEx.
It's really smooth.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Is this the color, the building?
No, no, sir, but when it started, it looked that way.
Okay.
No, we've actually gone through a lot of negotiations with staff to tone down the color of the building.
Madam Chair, if I might.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry, Mary, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so what is not shown here is that part of what we have been discussing with CVS Navarro is that this is poised at one of the entry points of our city. And I think we could all agree that what's there now is much less desirable. So what we have proposed here and what we have asked of them is that when you drive into the city of Hialeah, this Navarro, this CVS Navarro is going to be in a way that you'll know you're going into the city of Hialeah. So the facade, I don't know if he brought it with him, but what we wanted to make sure is that it is indicative of using wall art, for lack of a better term, that identifies the city. There'll be lettering and what have you.
Like a mural.
A mural, that was the word, thank
There
you.
go.
Because I know there was a comment made earlier about losing parkland and all that, okay. We believe, once this is said and done, it's gonna be a lot better than what we have here now.
Agree.
Okay, and like I said, one of the insistence was, let's make sure. Hey, I don't need to see it, I've seen it already. Let's make sure that what is going there is going to make you forget what is there now.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Mayor, I just want to echo, and we talked about this during first reading. What was there before was, it was an atrocity, and we saw that it was actually one of the properties that had the most issues in all of Hialeah. And so again, very, very happy to see that there's a change on that property. Okeechobee is the biggest artery that we have in the city of Hialeah, very important to us. So thank you for this. I move.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to see, that there's gonna be a brand, that there's gonna be a mural. And I think it's nice to have something that makes it special because this is such a, like an entryway, a gateway into our city. So I'm happy to see that there's gonna be something that really, sparks. It's nice, it's appealing to the eye. And within the land exchange, the remainder of the property that's gonna be not in use.
Correct.
Is there a proposal that's there that's gonna be done to that?
Correct. So part of it is that we're going to do a land swap. Where we're going to take a small portion of your park. We're going to give the city a larger portion of land than what we're taking.
Right.
And then we're also going to contribute to actually improve and create like a dog park, I think is what the city wanted in that area. And we're going to create parking areas for the park. So in essence, you're going to have your CVS Navarro, you get rid of the hotel, you get rid of the tire shop that's there.
Right.
You're going to have the entrance features that the city has already, right? You're going to have the public park. You're going to have a dog park as well. So you're going to have a little bit of a civic component as well as the retail use. It's going to clean up the area. I think it's going to be great for the neighborhood.
No, and that's nice because there's a lot of apartment buildings around there. So they have a spot, to now feel safe walking their furry animals and family members. And this will now, I guess, be the second dog park in Hialeah. Right? Hopefully. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I already had a motion, correct? Who was it? Councilman Rodriguez?
Yeah, I'm a second, but Deborah.
Okay.
I don't know. if
Oh,
that
it
was
was Tundidor, Councilman Tundidor then motioned,
her. Second.
and I had a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Thank you. Do we call the roll?
Ms. Perez?
Yes. Who did? Okay, I can't hear you. You have to put the microphone
No,
closer.
agree.
I'm sorry,
I had it on.
but it's pointing down. You gotta point it at your mouth. I can't. hear you. Okay, go, call the roll. The mo-
Mr. Rodriguez? Your vote?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
And we motioned it to be passed with the amended changes that were submitted today.
Yes.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
With the exhibits as submitted into the record this
Right.
evening. Thank you.
Yes.
You didn't tell him that.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are you buying a fire truck for CVS?
Are we buying a fire truck? for
Yes, because you
CVS?
It's in the
put one
photo.
very nicely right next to the Navarro sign. So I was just curious if you're gonna donate a fire truck for the city.
Chief.
Oh, there is, that is.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, is that part of it?
Eduardo Cacache, the architect, the engineer is actually gonna pay for part of his fees. He's gonna donate a truck.
There you go.
So nice.
There you go.
Fantastic. All right, so we had a motion on 11A. I'm sorry, we passed motion 11A, now we're on to 11B.
Ma'am, if I can just quickly record Councilwoman Casal Munoz's vote for item 11G.
Give me 1 second, please. 11G. Yes,
11H, please,
yes.
and the consent agenda.
No items were pulled, Councilwoman.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you. Item 11B, second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending chapter 70 entitled Retirement and Pension, Article 4, Employees General Retirement System, Division 2 entitled Board of Trustees, Division 3 entitled Disability and Line of Duty Benefits, and Division 5 entitled Benefits, implementing the changes to the retirement system and disability benefits contained in the 2022 through 2025 collective bargaining agreement between the city and IAFF for firefighter members, in particular, creating a new section 70-70 entitled Disability Benefits for firefighter members and members not included in any bargaining unit on and after effective date of this ordinance, revising section 70-131 entitled Appointment and Terms, and section 70-238 entitled Service Retirement Allowance, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties hereof, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an interpretation and savings clause, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So this item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or on Zoom that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Okay, seeing there is none, I have a motion by Councilman Zalby.
Yes.
Second.
I have a second by Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Can we please call the roll?
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casa Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes, Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to item 11C.
11C is postponed, ma'am, until September twenty-sixth.
September, no. Okay, yeah, September 26th. Item for discussion, item 11D.
Proposed ordinance amending chapter 1 entitled General Provisions, section 1-11, General Penalty, continuing violations of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah to provide for criminal penalties for violations of the city code, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Through the chair.
Yes, Councilman.
If it's all right, I'd like to table this item. Maybe sometime till December. I'd like to do a little more research on this and have a presentation for the council.
Okay, so Councilman, does that include item 11E as well, or is that?
No, that's.
No, okay, so item 11D is going to be tabled. Do we have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Tamayo. Do I have a second? I have a second by Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Can we please call the roll?
So this would be for the only meeting we have in December would be December 12th.
Yeah.
Not to a date certain.
Oh, I understood till December 12th. The only meeting we have.
So we're gonna motion till December 12th of 2023.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby. Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casa Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes, Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until December 12th, 2023.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 11E.
Item for discussion, proposed ordinance amending chapter 2 entitled Administration, Article 4, Purchasing and Competitive Bidding of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah to provide for a local business preference, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Councilman?
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, thank you. So this item for discussion is it pertains to a conversation that we had a couple weeks ago with I think it was the first time ever I saw a bid protest. And there was a lot of discussion on certain businesses that reside within the city of Hialeah not being treated a certain way or whatever the case is. And so I think more than anything, we were looking for something that, again, doesn't give significant weight to local businesses, because again, there are businesses out there outside of Hialeah that do a way better job, right? Depending on whatever the industry is. But again, we want to show some sort of symbolic unity for our local businesses. So one of the things that we had discussed about was maybe in the solicitation process, establishing some sort of tiebreaker, so to speak, and providing a local business with I don't know how to say, a point or some sort of half a point or whatever the case is, in the scenario where there's a tiebreaker, everything else equal, but the local business in that case would be awarded this point or 0.5 or whatever the case is. But I kind of wanted to open it up and see what the council thought about it. Again, it took some thought process in moving forward with this, because we don't want to limit Hialeah to only Hialeah, right? We want to make sure that Hialeah has the best possible candidates and or industries or businesses that provide services to our residents, but at a minimum be able to provide some sort of hometown benefit for local businesses. I just kind of wanted to see what was the appetite for something like this in Hialeah.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Thank you. I've been in two committees one for employing the chief, and another, I was the chair of the committee to choose the new auditor for the city. Yes, there's a series of point systems for years of experience, personnel, their qualifications and whatnot. The only thing we have to, and I like this, of course, giving preference. The only thing we have to iron out is it all comes down to, well, most of it comes down to the final price. And we have to figure out what we'll do is, yes, we'll have a Hialeah business, but if he's a lot more expensive than a Orlando business or wherever that other business, the landscaping.
Right.
So that we have to somehow
Yeah.
figure out how we're gonna get around that, but I like it.
Yeah, and I know that, you know, when I spoke to the mayor about it too, there was some reservations with that, but I think, you know, the idea would be is I wouldn't want something like this to carry so much weight, right? I don't know, I mean, I don't know how many points pricing gets. I'm assuming it should be very, very up there as well, but, and I think right now the current language for this item was at 5 points. I would even consider dropping it even less. Again, not to carry significant weight, but in a scenario of a tiebreaker or something like that, be able to have that benefit for local businesses, but whatever, you know.
I like it.
appetite is.
Yeah, so look, I do appreciate the work on this and the council and I had a conversation today on making sure that we always uphold what our main responsibility is, which is to get the best price possible for whatever services that we're engaging in. I did relay to him one of the things I saw in the county, which would only drive the price up, what was, you know, all these different qualifiers that they would bake into an agreement. And then, as I also mentioned to him, one of the things that happens is that the wise guys then start building teams in order to game the system. You know, we've added a woman, we added a person of color, we've added a Hispanic, we've added whatever. And that then starts complicating it and just starts inching up the price high. With all things being equal, if both prices come in, competitor A and B come in and they're within, you know, $10, $15 of each other, that's not markedly different, then absolutely we should kind of lean toward a person that has their business in Hialeah. The only thing that I don't know how to reconcile, and maybe we need to just give it some more thought, is, okay, so what if I'm outside of Hialeah, but I employ a whole bunch of folks in Hialeah as compared to you who may be in Hialeah, and maybe you employ less people in Hialeah. So, this happened to me when we were trying to reconcile local preference in the county on engineers. And the big engineering firms would complain that, well, yes, we're an outfit out of New York, but we have a franchise in South Florida. And guess what? We employ 20 engineers in South Florida, as opposed to the smaller operation that may not employ as many folks. So it's just something that we need to just kind of reconcile. But I like the direction that we're going in. Always in mind, we want to try to get the best price possible for our residents, and then as a consideration, understand, okay, where you establish or where you're headquartered at. So I think it's a step in the right direction. And whether it's a point or two, you know, doesn't make a big difference, right?
So through the chair,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I remember that we had the conversation right after that evening, and we spoke about, yeah, what if this business is outside, but other employees are from Hialeah? And my answer to that is, he doesn't pay a license fee. He doesn't pay real estate taxes. He doesn't pay permitting fees to the city of Hialeah. So the employer, not that it might not be the best one, so we don't choose him. But I do think that they should get some extra consideration, just because they pay everything else for us. And when they leave their business, they put gas in our gas stations, and they buy lunch here, and they buy breakfast here, and they buy cafecito, and their clients come here. So it's not just because they're here, but it's everything else
Their
that they
investment.
produce and the investment that they have for being here. So that's one thing that you have to consider. And I know that a lot of businesses employ, it's easy to say I employ a lot of people from Hialeah, because most of the workers that are out there in most of the businesses, you know, through the county are from Hialeah, you know, at least family members.
Which is a great point. And back in another life, when we asked, for example, the Marlins would say, we employ a whole lot of folks from the local community. And then we would challenge it. Okay, show us that you're actually, and you're not bringing in people from the outside. You know, I recall when Hialeah Park was going to do work there. One of the things that John Bernetti,
Senior.
without having to be, you know, he didn't have to do it, right? Because he wasn't receiving any kind of government help or anything like that. He made a pledge, I'm going to hire folks from the community. And he did that, right?
Right.
So yes, absolutely. And I think the point is that all things being equal,
Correct.
pricing and all that, yes, you should. I think there should be a consideration because of all the reasons you just stated.
Right.
Yeah.
I like this ordinance and thanks for putting this together. I think it's a good thought process from that procurement case that we did, that it was very new to us. We've never done anything like that. And I think it's an interesting take that you took back from that moment, and thanks for adding this wording. I enjoy it. It's really great. I look forward to that. So do we have, I know this is just an item for discussion,
Yeah.
but
And one last, just to kind of piggyback also on what the mayor said, I worked procurement at Jackson for a while. And so that was, you know, there was a points for SBE, there was a point for minority, there was a point for it, but there was 25 different other points that that made it very difficult sometimes for that process. So I'm with you 100% on that. Again, I think the point of this is it's symbolic and also, you know, shows the business community here in Hialeah that, you know,
you're being
all
considered.
else equal, you know, we're always gonna go with hometown. And so, Mayor, and if you don't mind, maybe bringing this back at the next council meeting.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Consensus.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that I'm glad you brought this up, because one of the things that happened that day was that when we received the item packaged.
Mhm.
And I really think that that is unfair to the council. Because when I was asking questions thinking that we could make a change. And the answer was no. You either accept it like this and say yes, or we cancel and we start over. And I was questioning because, you know, I wanted to get into the detail of what we're doing. But the fact that we get things brought that manner and that it's all or nothing, the nothing meant we have to go through the procedure again and spend another 3-4 months with the monies and everything that we're spending on that in order to be able to break down what we were saying. That didn't make any sense. If you're coming before us, it's because we could have a conversation, we can make changes to something. If you're gonna bring something to the council, that it's like you either take it or not, then don't bring it to the council and make an administrative item out of it. And let, you know, the administration decide. But that's not, you know, we're here to have a discussion and have a heated argument about something that we're passionate about, but at least that we could make a change to. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen again, if possible. And if you disagree with me, let me know. And then, you know, we won't have that conversation again. So.
Después de regaño, are you kidding me? No.
Okay, so
Copy that.
this
Thanks.
item to be brought back to the council September 26th. Thank you. So we're moving on to item 11F.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending chapter 22 entitled Code Enforcement, and in particular amending Article 3 Enforcement Procedures, Division 3, Civil Violation Enforcement Procedures, Section 22-190, Schedule of Civil Penalties of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, to provide for a civil penalty for failure to register, inspect, maintain, or secure properties with mortgages in default by mortgagees, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in code, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Can we have maybe Elsa, can you come up and just clarify?
This one is Elsa Jaramillo Vélez. This is pursuant to our foreclosure procedures in the city code. And so when we looked at chapter 22, one of the provisions that was missing is the actual failure to register the foreclosure. We didn't have an actual fee. right? So that's where we submitted that we established it at 250 for failure to register, failure to maintain the property. Because we have a original registration fee of $200, but the failure to register, it referenced chapter 22, but there was nothing of an enforcement, and that's what this provides for that mechanism.
So through the
Okay,
chair.
yes, sir.
If I may, yes, so I think just to be clear, because I looked at this as well, so what this is saying is that any homes that are foreclosed, and also keep me honest here, right? So any homes that are foreclosed need to be registered with the city, right? And so, and again, and if they are not registered with the city, then obviously that's where that.
Right,
amount
that's
is
what this
generated.
provides for.
Correct, yeah, and again, I want to be clear that this doesn't go, that amount isn't made towards any resident, it's made towards a bank.
That's right.
The
Okay,
bank.
got it.
Okay, that's what the bank is the one.
Yeah.
And then the fee was 200, now it's 250? Is that what you said?
I forgot, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Was it 200 or 250? I think it's 250.
I thought it was 250, but
I want to say it's 250, what I put in chapter 22.
It's 250.
Yeah.
Okay. And are we giving them, do you know?
The 200, I'm sorry, let me clarify. Maybe this will clarify. So for you to register, the initial registration fee is $200.
Okay.
Right? So if you fail to register or maintain the property, that's what this changes, which is chapter 22, which is a 250.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
When you don't.
Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. Rafael, did you want to add anything to that?
Just that this section of the code is the schedule of all your different penalties, and there wasn't one, as Ms. Jaramillo Vela said, for this particular failure to register. So in order to list it along with all the other code penalties you have in that section of the code, you needed an amount.
Okay, is there a time period attached to this? From when they default on their mortgage? Because I don't see anything.
It's all, is it chapter 78? I want to say it's chapter 78, which is our foreclosure.
Okay,
It's chapter 78, which is our foreclosure procedures. It outlines it and it's all based on Florida statutes.
to determine that. Yeah, but I don't see if there's, I'm sorry, I'm not
So it goes.
fluent on chapter 28. I just. wanted to see if-
78.
Oh, 78, there you go.
78.
So I just wanted to see what was the time, if there's a time period when we could enforce it. when
There's
that's a-
language in chapter 78 and there's also
That says
language
it.
in the Florida statutes regarding that.
Okay,
I believe also, other municipalities have this. I know the town of Miami Lakes has it as well. And I believe it's retroactive to a certain time period. I forget how far back, but yeah, it pretty much goes to the bank that had that property foreclosed and says, hey, you never registered, you have to pay this amount.
I mean, it's a very low amount to charge a bank, 250.
There's also limitations in code enforcement, Florida statute 162.
Is there
regarding-
something that limits it in chapter 78? that
No,
we
there's
could only-
something in 162 of the Florida statutes, which is our code enforcement, that limits how much you can charge for code enforcement provisions.
Is that the limit?
So that's the limit, 250 or is it
Yes,
500?
and repeat is 500, but that's a different section of code enforcement.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, Mr. Suarez?
Motion. Oh, he wanted to, sorry about that.
Mr. Suarez, did you want to add something before I take the motion? Did you want to add anything before I took the motion?
No, I didn't want to add anything to the motion, just if you're going to move the legislation to amend the code.
You don't have anything to add?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you. So I'm taking a motion by Councilman Tudor. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Can we please call the roll?
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 26, 2023.
Thank you. Okay. We're moving on to unfinished business.
Couple quick announcements.
Yes,
If I
Mayor.
can, unfinished business, only from the standpoint that, wanted to thank all of you that came out for the opening of the dog park and the pickleball courts. We think it's something that many of our residents have been asking. We know about the pickleball, right? But also, many residents have asked about, dog parks. Really kudos go to the park folks. They really worked round the clock to get this thing up and running. I think it's going to be a success. The reality is we're going to need a couple of other ones throughout the city. I did get a resident that came up to me and shared that, they didn't like going over to Amelia Earhart, but they liked the fact it was a little bit more localized for them. So great work by the guys and the men and women of the Parks Department. Willie and Michael done outstanding. I also wanted to share with the council that Fitch rating, which is kind of like a bond rating operation that kind of gives you an outlook on where the city is currently. And we received upgrades on our default rating, and we also received an upgrade on our bond ratings. We went from an A to an A+ on default rating, and we went to A- to an A on our bonding capacity, which is really a testament to the work of everyone here in the city, the work of the city council. What this does is gives us a positive outlook, better rates when we need to go out and get some financing or renegotiate financing. Great work by Ruth and her entire team, really, to put us in a good situation. And obviously tomorrow we'll be addressing budget. But the work that all of you did last year and the work that we'll ask you to do this year and support really puts us in a better situation moving forward, addressing the issues that many of our residents have asked us to address. And lastly, we have started work on a 100th year anniversary group, loosely, just getting ideas. And so one of the things that hopefully, and we may have a standing item on the agenda, not really sure how we'll do it yet, but we definitely want everybody's input on this. This is extremely important. We only get to be 100 once. And the idea here is that everything that'll happen in 2025, leading up to the actual anniversary date, will have some sort of feel of 100 years, right? And so we're talking to FDOT, we're talking to the county on different projects that we could collaborate on, a logo that we're working on for that. We want to reach out, and I was remiss I didn't say it, but I think I'll be meeting with those from Seminola. There's got to be ways of us collecting pictures, and we'll use social media, obviously, but there's got to be a way to reach out for those that no longer live in our city, but may have, a box of pictures in a closet or something. We'll work with our library system, but everything's going to be on the table. Every idea that we could possibly kick around and work on, we want to do that so that we could celebrate right, and we could tell us a whole story about this city from its beginning to where we are today. And then obviously get our schools involved, get our high schools involved through their art program. We want them to take ownership of this because this is going to turn the keys over to them at some point. So very excited about the opportunity here. We've talked to some sponsors who are also very excited about their collaboration with us. I've asked Councilwoman Casas Munoz to get involved. Obviously she sits on a lot of archives there at the city of, at Hialeah Park. So, but this is something for everybody to get involved, right? Because I think there's some curriculum work that could be done with the school system. I really want a period of time when they're doing civics to talk about Hialeah. I think they should be talking about Hialeah and who are all these names that are on parks that some of us, wonder why did they name it this and why did they name it that? So anyways, that's going to start being an ongoing project that we want. I know that Zagby, you sit on a whole treasure trove of police archives and all that. We want folks to donate if they can, and if not, we'll make photocopies of pictures that they have so we can keep it. Involve our parks program, all facets of our city. We want them engaged and involved on the 100th year anniversary. I think there's an education process on so many residents that are coming to our city. And one last thing, and I think it's important to share this data with you. So there is an estimated over the last 12 to 24 months, an estimated 400 and roughly over 400,000 Cubans that have come into the United States, just Cubans. I'm not talking about other nationalities, but just Cubans that have come into the United States. It probably stands on its own that of the 400,000 that have come in, 3/4 of that have come to South Florida, right? 300,000. We could just only guesstimate how many of those 300,000 have ended up in the city of Hialeah. Okay. And that's why when we talk about these things of RVs and all these kind of things, there's a lot of folks in our community that are unaccounted for. This is post-census. So if the census number is at 238, whatever that number, official number is, folks, I can tell you, there's a lot more of that in our city. And then the question is, what services are they using? Are they employed? You've seen the mopeds and all that. It's very difficult to get our arms around this. I don't think the federal government could give you a number of how many folks have come into our city. We've all been to schools. We've seen the impact on that. We've seen the impact on rents. We've seen that. You see what's going on in the real estate market. Homes in Hialeah. Rarely do you find now a home that's under $450,000 being sold in Hialeah. All of that has a dynamic shift on what's going on in our city, right? And but I thought it was important to share that data with you. It's unofficial, but talking to immigration attorneys, they'll tell you they're here. They're definitely here and they're coming. And as the federal government is trying to figure out what do they do as far as work permits and what have you. And it's something that we need to start thinking in terms of how are we going to address this moving forward? How do we expedite, and we're trying as far as housing is concerned, but you're also listening to a lot of talk about the Live Local Act and how that may impact. And I can tell you, there may could be a negative impact to the city if this thing actually starts to take root. But I thought it was important to share those numbers with you because as we navigate some of these issues, whether they're discussion items or actually concrete legislation that we want to do, there's forces out there that we're trying to get our arms around to get a better understanding, but they're real. They're real. So I just wanted to share. I don't know if it was new business or unfinished business, but thank you, Madam Chair.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Mayor, one gauge we can use, I mean, we'd have to work out a formula, but Robert Alonso could be a great resource because he can tell us how many children have registered this school year, and that could give us a formula. They have parents and they have other families, but he told me a number and I forgot what it is, but it's in the high thousands that have registered into Hialeah schools, new children that were never in our school systems. Not that they moved from another city in Dade County. So that's a gauge, and it's a high number.
Madam Chair, just if I may, just it had nothing to do with your motion, but you asked how much time it takes to register under the code. And for the item you just considered, it's 15 days after mortgage default. They're supposed to register the property.
Thank
So
you.
that's all I wanted to tell you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suarez. Okay, anybody else?
Yes.
Unfinished business?
Through the chair, I want to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
Mayor. Through the chair, just want to make a comment. For the past 2 weeks, my office has been very, very busy. And I just want to thank every single director, Jose, Willie, Kevin, Deborah, and Elsa, for the amount of phone calls they received from our office. And let me tell you something, we really have an open door policy with the constituents. Every single one of them, always their staff, everybody's always helping us out. So thank you in front of everybody. Appreciate all your help. Always. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any new business?
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
In the League of Cities last week, one of the things that was brought up by city manager from Cutler Bay, which happens to be my cousin Ralph Casals, is Durham is making every city that's going to have a permit pulled to go through Durham, every single city. So if every single permit, if you are doing a permit for the Felix just said the word to me, the driveway after the sidewalks, the driveway. The approach, thank you. The approach, you have to go to Durham in the county in order to get a permit. Every single permit that the city, it just passed. It just passed. So we're getting
My
the,
driveway, I didn't go.
we're getting,
I'm not pulling any more permits.
we're good. So we're getting the League of Cities to push back on this, but
Wow.
Live Work Act passed in the state, and that completely affects what we can and cannot do locally. And we've always said, that government starts locally and they're bypassing local government, continuously. And we have to be more aggressive in reminding our friends up in Tallahassee and our friends in the county that we can't have that, because we can't continue to take the brunt of everything that they decide to do because they choose to.
So I will tell you, nothing's gonna happen next year in Tallahassee with regards to Live Local. As long as the Senate President is there, they're not gonna touch it.
Okay.
I think we have communicated, I know many of you have also communicated to our legislators some of the concerns that we have with this, and other cities, we've seen what they're doing and the way they're reacting. Doral just basically put a moratorium. I saw a recent story, I guess, with a Clevelander in Miami
Yes.
Beach and what's going on there. Obviously, local communities have to have some sort of say in what goes
Correct.
on in their communities, right? But on the issue of Durham, I want you to know, and I think you all should know this if you don't know it already. We try, I think historically, but I will tell you in the last 2 years, we've tried to expedite every single application that comes in to the city of Hialeah on what we can control. Okay, because we have heard her story. Somebody wants to grow their business and Durham, runs all these obstacles and it takes years to get it done. We meet with developers on a daily basis that want to come and invest in our city. And we'll tell them right up off the bat, you need to make sure you're sitting down with Durham early. And understanding what is it that they want, because we could expedite things and then it grinds into a halt. And I could tell you that for the most part, our people are continuously trying to communicate with Durham to try to be an ally to those business folks. Okay. Durham has its role. I respect the role that Durham has, but they could go over the top at times and they could grind things to a halt. But, and we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow as far as our budget presentation is, this unseen investment that needs to be done, which is either sleeving or lift station improvements or water pumps and all that. If Durham requires us, we need to do these things. If not, development will then grind to a halt.
Right.
A growth in our city will grind to a halt. But I just want you to know, as part from the city part, I've been impressed with the dedication from our end to try to get things expedited as much as possible. I know many of you have brought items to us saying, we need, and we try to push it through as quickly as we possibly can. But man, it gets to Durham and then it runs into a wall. And that under consent decrees, I still need to sign documents and Durham needs to give permission for things to happen. And we need to continue to work to get ourselves from under that kind of, axe over our head, so. But, as much as we could communicate with our stakeholders at the county, I've talked to Commissioner Garcia about this to see if he could help us. But Durham is almost its own entity at this point. And, with the current mayor at the county, she's going to give them all the latitude they need, not to hold them back. So.
Mayor, do you remember when we had Durham here under Julio Urbina?
Mhm.
You were here with me that we had him upstairs.
Yeah.
Do you think that would make a difference or especially if we can't stop this? Because for somebody to go for an approach and have to go all the way to Durham in order to get something done, I mean, if that's, hopefully we could get rid of this, but.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an issue anymore. Look, with the technology now,
You're right.
it's really not everything's now is on a zip drive and what have you. So it's not that. It's I'll give you an example. There could be a shopping center that did upgrades, so water pumps and all that. We have a rain event and then water infiltration gets into the system. And then Durham will immediately spike that up, put them on moratorium, and then literally tell us something that just got approved. We have to wait another year to examine what is the cause of that water infiltration and what have you. This is problematic.
Right.
Problematic, and then it grinds everything into a halt, and we're constantly trying to have a conversation with them. I mean, I know Kevin is gonna bring a whole bunch of projects for lining and what have you. And this is not anything that when you knock on a door, somebody's gonna talk to you about. But when they do talk to you about, job development, job creation, more investment in our city, this is the area that needs to be invested in. And quite honestly, lack of investment in that space. All the development we've seen over the last years, which I believe there's still some more coming on the horizon, at least for the next maybe 2 or 3 years. Lack of investment in that area will literally grind it to a halt.
I agree. It's terrible.
Yep.
Okay, any other new business or are we moving on to zoning? All right, thank you. Moving on to zoning. We're gonna read item LU1 first, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low-density residential to transit-oriented development district. Properties located at 901 East 28th Street, 915 East 28th Street, 923 East 28th Street, 929 East 28th Street, 941 East 28th Street, 961 East 28th Street, 971 East 28th Street, 981 East 28th Street, 991 East 28th Street, 910 East 29th Street, 920 East 29th Street, 930 East 29th Street, 940 East 29th Street, 950 East 29th Street, 960 East 29th Street, 976 East 29th Street, 990 East 29th Street, 998 East 29th Street, and 2861 East 9th Avenue. Hialeah zoned R1, one family district, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
I apologize. I would like to first have everyone stand up that's gonna speak on an item to be sworn in. Todos los que van a hablar hoy sobre uno de los artículos de zoning o años, si se pueden parar para el juramento.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. If so, say I do.
¿Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo? Por favor, diga que sí si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
Hi, good evening. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Carlos Diaz with office at 333 Southeast Second Avenue. We made a presentation on first reading. If the council would like to hear the presentation again, we can do that or.
Thank you. I'm sorry if you could permit me. It's a second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or online that would like to speak on behalf of this item? All right, seeing there is none, I already had a motion by Council Members Agni and a second by Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Did you second it?
Yes.
Okay, now you're looking at me.
You did make a motion, right?
You second. All right, go ahead. You could call the roll.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Tunidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
No.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Moving on to item PZ1.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district to TOD, Transit Oriented Development District. Properties located at 901 East 28th Street, 915 East 28th Street, 923 East 28th Street, 929 East 28th Street, 941 East 28th Street, 961 East 28th Street, 971 East 28th Street, 981 East 28th Street, 991 East 28th Street, 910 East 29th Street, 920 East 29th Street, 930 East 29th Street, 940 East 29th Street, 950 East 29th Street, 960 East 29th Street, 976 East 29th Street, 990 East 29th Street, 998 East 29th Street, and 2861 East 9th Avenue. Hialeah zoned R1, one family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
I just would like to mention something. lately, we've been doing a lot of this, that it's the land use with the zoning at the same time. Is there a reason why we're doing it together instead of allowing us to do land, the land, use, and then the following meeting do the zoning? There, reason why we're grouping it together? We wouldn't do this. It's
I mean,
become a
it's-
trend the last
it's-
couple of months.
Yeah, it's not, it's a matter of city administration, presentation, policy. It's, all I can tell you is, when there are companion items, right? When there's a land use map change, you usually do that because the law requires
Right.
that be approved. The land use is like the Constitution, the zoning is like the statute. So that must be approved first, because if you don't approve that, you can't approve a rezone.
No, I
So that-
understand, but
I
we
mean,
used to do the land use first. And then the following meeting, we would then do the zoning. I don't know if that's something Miss Storch, Deborah, you're
That's-
online?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
Yes, I'm here. We are doing this because since the whole process of obtaining a permit takes so long, we have been asked by the property owners and the developers to see how we can help in expediting. So this is a way. If not, in the past, they had to come through the land use amendment and then wait 30 days and then again come for the rezoning. And also many of these properties are bought in contingency. So to be able to execute the contract, they need some kind of quick process. We are going to, and in the code, there is a provision that you should do the land use first and the zoning second, but we're going to amend that to be able to continue doing it as we are doing it simultaneously.
Okay, no, but it's not an exclusive that it's only this particular case. It's happened already a few times. And I know that before we used to give it that 30-day process, and I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I think it's just a lot for one,
It's true, but lately we're doing it with everyone.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's a good thing because you're able to see the whole thing at the same time. Sometimes you approve the land use, and by the time that the zoning comes, you already forgot that you approved the land
Right.
use and what was the development about.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we read the item into the record, and this is second hearing, public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or online that would like to speak on behalf of this item?
Motion otherwise.
I have a motion by Council Member Zogby, and I have a second by Councilwoman Gonzalez Munoz. Can we call the roll?
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you all very much. Great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Okay, moving on to item PZ2.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1 One Family District to TOD Transit Oriented Development District and granting a variance permit to allow a 0-foot setback required above ground floor for buildings fronting East 11th Avenue where a 10-foot step back is required. Contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-1544, subsection C3, property located at 1092 East 21st Street, Hialeah, zoned R1, One Family District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or online that would like to speak on behalf of this item?
And second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Casas Munoz, and I have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Can we call the roll?
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yeah.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Moving on to PZ3, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1 One Family District to TOD Transit Oriented Development District and granting a variance permit to allow a 13-foot front setback on East 30th Street where a 17-foot built-to-line setback is required. Contra to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-1544, subsection 3 III, property located at 3011 East 8th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R1 One Family District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or online that would like to speak on behalf of this item? I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz, and I have a second by Councilmember Zogby.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Item PZ 4.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1 one family district to R2 1 and 2 family residential district and granting a variance permit to allow a duplex on a substandard lot with a frontage of 40 feet where 75 feet are required and an area of 4,000 square feet where 7,500 square feet are required, allowing a 5-foot side setback where 7.5 feet are required and allowing a 22.92-foot front setback where 30 feet are required. All contra to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-544 and 98-546. Property located at 4448 East 10th Avenue, Lot 28, Hialeah, zoned R1 one family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. So this item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or online that would like to speak on behalf of this item?
Through the chair.
Yes, good
Yes.
evening. My name is Israel Pino, 175 West 58 Terrace is where I reside.
Oh, good
Hialeah,
evening, sir.
Florida. And this is a simple rezoning that would help my city. And very much needed legal, affordable housing.
Is this your property where you
Yes.
reside?
Yes.
You live there?
No, I don't live there.
Oh,
I
no.
live at 175 West 58 Terrace.
In
I'm the
Hialeah.
owner of a lot that I want to build from R1 to R2
Mhm.
so I can build a duplex.
And the lot right now is empty?
Yes.
It's flat, okay.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Your daughter was here last time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she did a good job. So just minor thing, I know that Deborah had some comments on the plans. Were you able to look into the windows? I remember that.
Yes, I can afford, I can put changes when I do my working drawings already. Right now, I was actually, when I spoke, I don't know if you remember, I spoke, I was out of the country.
That's right.
So I came back, I didn't have time to do anything that I can present to you now.
Yeah, okay.
Is this the property? This one?
So you'll be able to present something in the future out of good faith?
Yes, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, when I
Is this
do it,
all the-
All
it's
right.
gonna be a lot better.
So he doesn't own this.
It'll be something we could all commend.
All right, I motion.
Second.
So right now, if I may, are you done, Councilman?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now the lot is the one that has all the commercial vans parked in it.
Yeah, there's.
It's like a
fence.
wooden fence.
Yes, a wooden fence.
And then what's in the back of that? Is that your property too? It's like it's like a beige building or no, that's just the lot behind you.
No,
There's
it's
nothing,
just-
there's no
Actually, I
structure.
bought that property in 2005 and it was 2 lots. I wanted to build there a building, a multifamily with parking in the front. And I was told the city would have too much density at that time for that type of situation. So I built a house next to it. Single family, which is 4448. And now the empty lot, I'm proposing to have it R1 to R2.
Okay. Okay, and I thank you, sir. And I had a motion
Yeah.
by Councilman Toledo.
Mhm.
Do I have a second? I had a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Thank you. Can you call the roll?
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening. Okay, moving on. PZ 5, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving a final plat of Midpoint Logistics, accepting all dedication of avenues, streets, roads, or other public ways, together with all existing and future planting of trees, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date. Property bounded on the north by West 112th Place, on the south by West 108th Street, on the east by Northwest 97th Street, and on the west by West 38th Avenue and Northwest 99th Avenue, Hialeah, Florida.
Thank you. This is second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone online or in council chambers that would like to discuss this item?
Motion, second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz, and I have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor. Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
For the records, I think there is a mistake on the naming of one of the right of ways that it should be Northwest 97th Avenue, no Northwest 97th Street.
Are we talking about?
About the one that you just approved.
Okay. Located at 6900 West 32nd Avenue.
No, there where you have it on PC5.
PZ5, yes.
Yeah, it says
West
bounded
112
on the
Place,
north.
97, not 97th Street, 97th Avenue.
Should be 97th Avenue.
Northwest 97th Avenue.
Are you gonna let the
So-
record be corrected to reflect that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So let the record show that PZ5, we're gonna have to amend it to by West 108th Street on the east, by Northwest 97th Avenue on the west, by West 38th Avenue. Thank you. All right, moving on to PZ7, please.
PZ6, ma'am.
PZ6.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a 23-student kindergarten class in conjunction with an existing 126 children daycare property located at 6900 West 32nd Avenue, units 18 through 25, Hialeah Zone C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone online or in council chambers that would like to discuss this item? Okay, seeing there is none. Do we have a motion or do we have council discussion?
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
did, maybe Deborah can answer, didn't we approve or we discussed not to allow, there's a vape shop here next to the school in the shopping plaza. Didn't we create something to not allow schools?
We created,
Mansions.
but for the new school, remember that there were many schools that were operating for a long time without a
Okay.
conditional use permit, so they're kind of grandfather.
Okay.
So we said that on those schools we were not going.
Even
to
for
work with it.
expansions, even for expansion.
Well, because the expansion already exists, what they are doing now is
Okay.
legalizing. They were operating the school without a school license.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That was it.
Wait, through the chair.
Yes, sir. You're recognized.
I'm sorry, Deborah, so just, can you repeat that again? So.
They were having
Is this the
as
school or the
many.
daycare?
This was a daycare, and as many other daycares, they expanded. In this case, they only have a kindergarten class. So a kindergarten class requires an educational license. And for that, you need the conditional use permit. So they were operating the kindergarten without that educational license that now they need for the Department of Education to be able to register. So that's why they came through the conditional use permit process.
So there's a vape shop there? Is that?
Well, ma'am, it could be that in the shopping center, there is a vape shop. But the school has been operating there.
There's a liquor store too?
I don't know.
Not yet. Yeah,
This is where Lazaritos is. Right?
so there's a liquor store, no, okay.
Next time, it's a grocery smoke shop. Mhm. But the enforcement is on the smoke shop, it's not on the school. So if they were to expand, then that's something that we could probably, but not when it's the school. The enforcement is on the vape, on vapes, on the vape store, not on the school.
There, and we're expanding the school, we're allowing to go.
The enforcement is on the vape store, not on the school.
Yes, I understand what
Yes.
the chairperson is saying. I think what you're saying is the state law has to do with the proximity of the vape store to a school. Is that? what-
No, we did a law, if I could have Attorney Alex, we passed a law on the proximity of schools to vape stores, but since it's the school that's expanding, not the vape store. let 'em
Oh, I
clarify.
see. I see.
We have a radius restriction on how close a vape shop can be to a school. However, Madam Chair, it would also adhere, the school also has to adhere to that same distance requirement. Therefore, if there were a school that comes in as new, it could not be within a 500-foot radius of a vape shop. However, as Ms. Storch stated, this school has been existing. It's kind of grandfathered in, therefore it's not subject to the radius of 500 feet from another vape shop.
Okay, yeah, the school is grandfathered, even though
Yes,
they're
sir.
changing their configuration, they're grandfathered.
Yes, sir.
Because they pre-existed.
Yes, sir. We had
Yes,
another
thank you. All right,
ordinance.
I understand.
We had another ordinance recently that required these schools that expanded to come in for a conditional use permit within a certain amount of time. And that's what this school is doing. So it's not, does not need to adhere to the radius.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had a situation that there was a vape shop around the school and we didn't allow them to expand because there was a vape shop there. So we didn't allow them to expand. Is that do you remember that, Carl? Do you guys remember that? That we didn't allow the school to expand. They had they had K through third grade, I think, and they wanted to go to fifth grade. And we had said that because a vape shop was there. You don't remember that?
Was it because of that?
I know we discussed that. I don't clearly remember it, that.
So this school is a daycare as of now, right? But their license is a daycare. They have the right to be a daycare. And they transferred to what grade do they have?
I believe
Only kindergarten,
kindergarten.
just kindergarten.
They have a kindergarten,
They have a kindergarten now,
correct?
and they're asking to do what?
They're coming into compliance and applying for the conditional use permit.
Just for the kindergarten?
Yes.
Is that correct? Yes.
They're not expanding?
No.
No,
No, they're expanding their
They're
use.
legalizing.
They're legalizing their
their
use.
So we're only giving them for kindergarten.
Correct.
Okay. Motion.
No, they don't only have for kindergarten, no.
And they have up to
They have
kindergarten.
up to kindergarten.
Up to.
But they still have daycare.
Okay.
So they're just
Well,
expanding.
daycare, we're not
kids
concerned
grew
with
and they
them.
kept them there.
Vaping, I hope.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
So I have a motion by
Casal Munoz.
Casal Munoz and I have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Can we please call the roll?
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
No.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. PZ 7, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a 57-student K through 5 grade school with a shopping plaza in conjunction with an existing 60-student daycare property located at 6500 West Fourth Avenue, units 15 through 23, Hialeah Zone C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date. Do we have the registered lobbyist here? No. All right, this item is on second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers or online that would like to speak on behalf of this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz and a second by Councilmember Tundidor. Can we call the roll?
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robis.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right. PZ eight, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a 20-student K through second grade elementary school in a freestanding commercial building in conjunction with an existing 41-student daycare, property located at 430 West 29th Street, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Is there a vape shop in this?
No, it's a freestanding building. It's like a shopping plaza, but all the bays are taken by the daycare school. And there's no parking variance.
Okay, perfect. Motion.
There's a motion. This is a second reading and public hearing. Is there anyone in council chambers online that would like to speak on behalf of this item?
Oh.
No, just fajas y más and envíos a Cuba. So I have a motion by Councilman Tundidor and I have a second by Casal Munoz. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robis.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, can we please read LU two into the record?
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from medium density residential to commercial district. Property located at the northwest intersection of Southeast Eighth Court and Park Drive. A portion of lots 6 and 8, block 3 of 36th Street lawns according to plat book 24 at page 38. Of the public records of Miami-Dade County, Florida, Hialeah zoned R1, one family district, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on first reading. Good evening, Mr. Lasarte.
Good evening, Felix Lasarte with offices at 3250 Northeast First Avenue. I'm here on behalf of Bose Development. And I'm here on land use item 2 and the planning and zoning item 9. I could certainly make a presentation as to both, so that way we could save some time.
Absolutely, go ahead, sir.
So we talked about this matter earlier in the agenda when we were doing the land swap. This property is really in the historical entrance to the city of Hialeah, which is on Okeechobee Road and Lejeune Road. The old train station, which is nearby, really was the train station that would bring in tourists into the racetrack. And Councilman Casal Munoz actually told me that. So this area, has a lot of history. Really, what's the use that's there right now is it's unsightly, not well kept. And what we're trying to do, we've been working with the city for the last few months and trying to accommodate a land swap that would do a Navarro CVS store. We would create murals and entrance features for the city. We would remove those two uses, which really aren't so nice. There's a parcel of land that's really not being used as a park. It's actually closed, it's gated. And we're actually taking that and activating it by creating some parking next door. We're actually going to create a dog park with a contribution. And we're going to be giving the city more land than what they're giving us, which is we need a little piece for additional parking. We believe if you look at it in my second reading, I'm actually going to come and show you the final rendering of what this is going to look like. We've worked with Deborah and with the city, and really it's been a battle. I don't know if you noticed that some of these Navarros, they have this bright yellow color. And Deborah, when she saw it, was like alarmed at the color scheme. And we worked pretty hard to get this, mural approved with the folks at CVS and Navarro. And the color now is like a gray scale, like gray and white, so it's gonna be nice and contemporary. And I think Deborah, I think, is happy, happier certainly than she was when she saw that original color. So hopefully, we have your approval and, we're here to answer any questions that you have. We have representatives from Bose Development. Their whole development team is here.
Deborah, through the chair,
Yes.
You recognize.
you have a lot of responsibility now. You imagine every time we walk in, we're gonna think of, when we drive in, we're gonna see you, Deborah.
No, you will like it.
Put a lot of pressure.
I made sure that it was going to look correctly.
Would
And
you-
I will look at it during the site plan, and believe me, for me, I also want that corner to be
I know.
nice.
I know. Motion.
Through the chair.
Yes, you recognize.
Are the owners of this property here with you today? Just kidding. Second the motion.
So I have a motion by Councilman Rodriguez, and I have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Can we please call the roll?
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casa Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 26, 2023.
Wonderful.
Thank
Can we
you.
do
Thank you.
PZ 9 now, please?
First reading of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1 One Family District to C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District. Property located at the northwest intersection of Southeast Eighth Court and Park Drive. A portion of lots 6 and 8, block 3 of the 36th Street lawns, according to plat book 24 at page 38 of the public records of Miami-Dade County, Florida. Hialeah zoned R1 One Family District. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. So this item is on first reading.
Can we have the lobbyists?
Can you do another presentation for us?
And
Sir.
bring the owner.
Felix, I'm sorry, the office at 3215 Northeast First Ave.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Vivian Casals Munoz. I have a second by Councilmember Tundidor. Can we please call the roll?
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casa Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 26, 2023.
Right. All right, moving on. PZ 10. I know.
First
Flip
reading
front,
of
flip
proposed
front.
ordinance rezoning property from RO Residential Office District and R1 Single Family District to B1 Highly Restricted Retail District, granting a variance permit to allow 17% pervious area where 18% is the minimum required. In contrast to Section E, tree and lawn requirements by zoning classification, Table A of the latest edition of the Hialeah Landscape Manual dated July 9, 2015. Properties located at 218 East 49th Street and 226 East 49th Street. Hialeah zoned RO Residential Office District and R1 Single Family District, legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on first reading. Do we
For
have?
the records, the landscape manual that is mentioned there was updated, so it should be corrected and the correct date noted. I think it was updated last year in 2022.
Motion.
Do you have that, Madam Clerk?
I
The
do not,
correction?
ma'am. We would need to, well, I've noted it, but we would need to research the date with the law department and correct the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll verify tomorrow with Alex.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and then just as corrected, presuming you can ascertain the new landscape manual date. Thank you.
Okay, so we have, do I have a motion or any council discussion on this? I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz and a second by Councilmember Zogby. Can we call the roll?
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casa Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 26, 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you.
PZ 11, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow 200 parking spaces where 378 parking spaces are required to incorporate the use of a sports and recreational instruction facility of 11,740 square feet in an existing non-conforming industrial building. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-2189, subsection 18. Property located at 213 Southeast 10th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned M1 Industrial District. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. So this item is on first reading. Do we have, this is pretty interesting. Do we have anyone here to speak on behalf of this item? That's 200 parking spaces.
Yeah, do you want me to explain?
I think we have somebody here on behalf.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Jordi Esteban, 7740 Southwest 104th Street, the architect.
What's your last name? I'm sorry, Colon?
Esteban, Jordi Esteban.
Oh, Jordi
Yeah.
Esteban. Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
And we have Cynthia Sosa.
Cynthia Sosa, good evening. 7960 West Sixth Avenue, Hialeah, Florida, 33014.
Thank you. You would like to speak on behalf of the item?
More answer questions if there are any. So this is for a the use for Team Sosa, which is a small baseball facility within this industrial building. The building, when it was developed originally, it was developed as non-conforming in that it was short of the required parking spaces. So because they're applying for a new certificate of use within the building, they have to go through the variance process to legalize the amount of parking that we're requesting.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you recognize.
Yeah, so I've driven by here before and I tell you, I freaked out one day. I think there was Miguel Cabrera that was training with Team Sosa. No, and I, if you don't mind, if you could maybe yourself, just kind of talk about what it is that you guys do there. What's the caliber of folks that go in there? Because I freaked out. I didn't even know this existed. And really to see that type of caliber athlete, right? And it's not just pros, right? But I think it's also college athletes, et cetera, et cetera. That was very, very impressive to see within the city of Hialeah. Can you just kind of share with the council?
Sure. So Mr. Ricardo Sosa, he's my husband. He's been in the baseball industry for approximately 15 to 17 years. He played professional for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He came from Cuba and he grew up, kind of became an adult here in Hialeah before he signed. He trained in Babcock Park. So we got to experience, the baseball life in Hialeah and just grow from it and also expand his knowledge and become a professional at it. He used to work at the batting cage, I think now, which is owned by Livan Hernandez. He used to work there for many, many years, for approximately 11 years until it got shut down by COVID. So he looked for a place to work, we have to find a living, him, and he ended up finding this place, this warehouse through one of the parents. But this warehouse has become, an opportunity for Hialeah to bring in professional athletes, college students, middle school, elementary school kids to start training. There's a lot of kids from Hialeah, a lot of people that come in from outside, and a lot of professional athletes like Miguel Cabrera, Stanton, JD Martinez.
Folks from
Panda.
overseas as well, right?
People from overseas, people from the Bahamas come in to train with him. Not to brag, but he's known to be one of the best in the baseball industry. He travels all over the country to train hitting. He's a hitting instructor, to professional athletes. So, the name is known, all these people have been coming down to Hialeah. He used to work under someone else, but, as a result of COVID and things being shut down, he was given the opportunity to work at this facility and this warehouse. I don't know what other questions.
Huge, yeah.
And the time that had passed by, because in all honesty, I had it's a family friend calls me, Iris, and she asked me, "Hey, do you know Team Sosa?" And I have no clue who that is. And she wanted to get a class and get trained with him and have him train him. But I also elaborate, because I've been there on when I went to go see it, it was a busy day, but there was only maybe like 8 people there, right? So it's very limited on who goes there, right? Can you kind of?
Right, so it's a one-stop shop. We call it a sports facility. We concentrate on baseball. So there's basically, it's private sessions. There's a couple of trainers, each one have a little cage, a gym, and also a pitching instructor. So a kid comes in and they say, hey, I want to train with you. It's not like anyone can just come here. You really have to know the trainer. The trainer has to be like, I'm going to work with you, give you the opportunity, and just work on a one-on-one basis. So it's not like a huge sports facility where you're going to have hundreds and thousands of kids coming in and out. It's basically on a selective basis. We are very helpful towards the community. We also have a nonprofit that has, it's kind of attached to this, but on our other end with baseball, we give kids from Hialeah the opportunity to play travel ball at no cost. So whenever it's raining or we don't have any baseball fields, which is an issue we have been going through Hialeah after hours, which is the parking situation. After hours, when the other businesses are not operating, we're able to bring them in and use the facility and give those kids still the opportunity to keep busy and be in sports, which is important, for all the way around for keeping fit and mental health and just being involved, in a good sport that can give you the opportunity to go to college. One thing I can say, Ricardo has been able to sign even throughout his years, a lot of kids in the draft. So kids that have lost parents, at no charge, we're very, very giving to helping out kids. And that's our main thing, is to keep kids active, keep the sport going. The baseball sport is it's religion kind of for our family. We have 2 boys that are also on our baseball teams, and we travel and we represent Hialeah. So when they say Hialeah, they say Miami, they baseball, it's going to be good if Ricardo Sosa is going to be training.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to thank the Sosa family for keeping that here in Hialeah. That it means a lot to us. We talk about bringing baseball back, and I really do think this is the way we bring it back, right? Having caliber folks like you and your team bring in that talent, right? That we all know. Just, you got to promise us that when Giancarlo Stanton comes here, you're going to let us know.
Yeah, you have to call us.
I mean,
Aaron Judge.
yeah, when Miguel Cabrera stands in and you have these high caliber athletes coming down and driving down from there.
Last week, United States.
Sí, ¿cómo que no?
18 años de Team USA, el equipo de
18.
Estaba jugando y el mejor pelotero del evento por aquí en Miami.
Wow.
And they train, and they're all coming out of Hialeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bueno, with that, motion to approve.
Yeah.
Second.
For real.
This facility was, it was called Sweet Paper, so I used to make all the paper for the entire county, and the street is named Sweet Ways, so thank you very much, because it's very sweet that you're here, so.
Thank you so
I
much.
love
for the
that.
support.
That's a good touch. Thank you, Councilwoman. So I have a motion by Councilwoman Casados Munoz, and I have a second by Councilmember Zog.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 26, 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
PZ 12, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a 4-classroom seminary in an existing freestanding building with a maximum capacity of 25 students, and granting a variance permit to allow 1 parking space where 32 parking spaces are required, and allow 144 square feet pervious area where 1,350 square feet are required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-2189, subsection 4, and section E, tree and lawn requirements by zoning classification, table A of the latest edition of the Hialeah Landscape Manual dated July 9th, 2015. Property located at 25 East 4th Street, Hialeah, Zone CBD, Central Business District, legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Hey, how are you? Good evening, council people and Madam President. My name is Lonnie Richardson, and thank God, Baruch Hashem, we say. I have a small seminary for ninth, 10th, and 11th grade Jewish boys. It's great.
Wonderful. Do you mind sharing your address with us?
Sure, 25 East 4th Street, Hialeah, right around the corner.
Oh, nice.
It's amazing. I love it.
And that's where this location is.
Yeah, couldn't be better, to be honest with you, next to the fire department, next to City Hall, next to the mayor. Our goal, just to briefly tell you, and it's late, and I really appreciate your service. I don't know how you guys do it, especially the kids, and I got a lot of them too. This is one of the most amazing communities in Miami, and it's for us, it's very, very safe. Miami and many places in the world and the country has become very, very dangerous to have any kind of educational facility. When you see this yarmulke on my head, I'm a lawyer for over 20 years, and I'm a rabbi, and I'll tell you something. I've been all over the world, and this is really the last frontier for ethics and humanity and ideas and just general welfare for all mankind. I love it. I've been here since 1996, and I've gravitated towards the Cuban community my entire career. I mean, my entire law practice is comprised of this community. It's pretty fantastic. And that was one of the original reasons why I knew that this is where we need to be. And my goal would be ultimately to put a female, like a girls' seminary as well, coming up in the future, where you'll have people like me, no vapes, no drugs, they'll probably be have permits to carry weapons as well. And and they're all pretty much like-minded. I think this will be a great addition to the city, and God willing, we'll be able to have a big impact. I know the houses are going up every single day, but I want to create a community, to be honest with you, here for my people, religious Jewish community. I think it'll be a great thing and have a good impact. I've seen the menorah up here and the mayor lighting it, so many more to come.
That's right.
Thanks for taking the time.
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Tundidor, and I have a second by Councilwoman Casas Munoz. Can we please call the roll?
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robis.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 26, 2023.
Have a blessed evening. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to PZ 13.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-161, to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay, granting a variance permit to allow 50% of the units with an area of 705 square feet, where 850 square feet is the minimum area required, and only 10% of the units can have an area of 600 square feet. Allow a building height of 64 feet, where 55 feet is the maximum building height allowed. Allow 26 parking spaces where 28 parking spaces are required, and waive the building mass and building frontage development standards. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-1630.2, 98-1630.3, subsection B, and 98-2189, subsection 16A. Property located at 20 West 40th Place, Hialeah, zoned R33, multiple family district, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. This item is on first reading. Good evening. Hi. Thank you for staying with us to the end. Name, yes. Name and address, please, for the record.
Yes, Valka Rodriguez, 175 Southwest 7th Street, Suite 2309, Miami, Florida, 33130.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
My name is Andres Guariguata, 3945 Avenue, Andro, Florida, 33179.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we're just basically here to answer any questions if you might have. This is our second meeting. And
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Have some material, yes.
Do you have a
Okay.
presentation?
Yes.
Melissa, you have?
Good evening. My name is Herman Agudelo. I'm the architect of the project with my office located at 1500 Northwest 89th Court in Doral, Florida. This project that we're presenting to you today is a multi-family residential building and with a commercial unit.
No.
Yes. The site plan that says number 1. SP1. Okay, good evening again, and thank you for staying with us so late. So as I was saying, this is a 4-story multi-family residential building and 1 commercial space, consisting of 12 units and about 26 parking spaces, providing a little bit more than 2 parking spaces per unit. We have, within the 12 units, we have 2 3-bedrooms, 4 2-bedrooms, and 6 1-bedroom units. Right now, you are seeing at the site plan, which shows the parking spaces, the gym, and the staircases. Maybe if you want to show the front elevation, if you don't mind. So with this project, we're just trying to alleviate a little bit of the housing needs that Hialeah has. And by providing all these new apartments and very close to Palm Avenue, we're about 100 feet from Palm Avenue, where all the shops and restaurants and also the city as well. And we're just trying to bring a modern looking building and also trying to bring it within a budget for the residents of Hialeah. Can you please show the elevations, please? For the front elevation. Yes, that would be the front elevation. Yes, that's the front elevation of the building. And so we're trying to utilize different materials and impact resistant windows, and also taking into consideration the green principles of architecture. So having the use of LED lighting, energy efficient equipment, and high efficiency air conditioning systems. Also, we have, for the residents, we have roof terraces as amenities and a gym as well. I don't know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Deborah, why do they need a variance to go up?
They need a variance to have more units. They need a variance. They are applying for a special use permit to expand the MBD.
Okay, but here it says allow a building height of 64 feet where 55 feet is the maximum building height allowed.
Yeah, because that is the maximum height allowed.
Okay, so. All right, because I thought we had a conversation about another item in a TOD. And that if we were to do that for them, we have to do that for everyone. You recall that?
Yeah, but I don't recall that. In the TOD, we already gave variances. We gave height variances. The maximum in the TOD is 8 stories, and some applicants came and asked for 10 stories, and the variance was granted.
Okay.
So I don't understand and it's only 12 units here that they are.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's not about the units. It's just, you know, okay. And again, no parking variances, 12 units. Is there, what's right next door to that property?
Right, so we have adjacent to Palm Avenue, we have a commercial place and also residential units on the left-hand side on the rear as well.
Yeah, so so no two-story, it's all one-story buildings around you, right?
On one side is a one-story residential and the commercial building right
On
next to.
Palm Ave,
on
yeah,
Palm
one
Ave,
story
yes.
as well. Okay.
Yes.
It's all apartments?
There's apartments here that are like on 45th.
Yeah.
There's apartments that have parking underneath and they're 3 stories, so it's 4 stories high.
On 45th?
On like 45th or 46th, and then across the street, there's a building that's 4 stories high that has parking around it as well.
I'm
So
sorry.
there's heights there.
Sorry.
I think, yeah, to put.
On Palm Avenue, I'm talking.
On Palm, yeah, yeah,
Palm.
yeah. No, my question was, I guess, on 40th place, and it seems like, and you mentioned that you wanted to do affordable rents. So are you gonna be committing to some sort of workforce housing or you were just?
That's something that my clients will consider. Yeah.
To the chair?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Can you explain to me about the car lifts?
The car lifts?
Yeah.
Yes, so. Due to the fact that we don't have enough space to put all the parking spaces right on the ground, so some of the parking spaces are right underneath the building and there are car lifts. And we have plenty of space in height. So of course, each car lift will be for each unit. So, you know, you have 2 cars and then the first one that gets in, just go into the lift goes up. So the next one park underneath. That's how it works.
They're like a maximum like weight capacity. I'm curious. I think this is the first time that we have this.
Yeah, no, so yes, they're regulated by weight and but any standard car or SUV will
So
fit
like
fine.
pickup trucks or.
Pickup trucks as well.
Yes.
If you pass by a car lot, many of the car lots in Hialeah have those lifts, so they can show more cars in the same space. They have one car underneath and then on top they have the other car.
Also, they were integrated into the design so that nobody from the outside really sees that we have car lifts. Maybe we have one of the drawings, please, that shows a section through the, maybe.
You have a picture of that car lift? I'd like to see it.
Sure. If you go to page A3.
Deborah,
Yes.
where do we have car lifts in Hialeah?
Why do we have? Well,
No,
better to-
where?
No, in Hialeah, for example, on Palm Avenue, I don't recall what corner, but there is a car lot on Palm Avenue that
Yeah,
has
I know, Palm Avenue and
that car
37.
lift.
That has,
Yes.
then it's a car under, okay,
Yes,
that's for sale though.
yes, yes. Ah, okay, that's good. The car
Yeah,
lot?
got it, that's what it is, okay.
Okay.
So at the bottom right of the drawing, you can see a section through the building and see how the car lift works. And also we have some louvers, metal louvers screening the car lift. So from the outside, you don't really see that there is a car lift. You don't see one car on top of
Okay,
the other.
I get it.
Yeah.
Have you received any feedback from the residents nearby or?
From the previous hearing, yes.
Yeah, we were here in the previous
For planning and
on the
zoning?
26th. And there were 2 gentlemen here that all of a sudden just stood up. I thought they're gonna be against the project, but they were, like very supportive of the fact that we were gonna, contribute to a new face of modern Hialeah.
Wow, very good.
They probably own some lots there too.
Deborah,
They do the same.
through the chair, Deborah,
Yes,
so this will be the largest, tallest building inside the street from Palm, correct?
yes, on that side of the street, yes, but along Palm Avenue, you have buildings of this height.
All right, and Deborah, the home beside it, is that an R1? I'm just curious.
No, it's R3 too.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz and I have a second by Councilmember Tundidor.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
No.
Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 26, 2023.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for your patience.
Yeah.
We're done,
okay.
right? We're done.
Our meeting adjourns now at 10:25 PM. Please do not forget that tomorrow is our first budget hearing meeting. See you tomorrow here sharply at